Phoenix Nights. Chapter 746. Temporal Island Lord looked at the pitch-black circular hole in the starry sky in front of him. He casually said, "It might be because the battle between Bloodshed and the 5 religious leaders was too huge that it affected time-space and formed this time-space tunnel. Or it might have been hidden here since a long time ago. It seems to be a small-scale cosmos tunnel." Bloodblade extended his right hand. His right hand expanded as he extended it into the cosmos tunnel. The moment his palm entered the tunnel, the surrounding dusky fog began trembling. An unseen energy was repelling it. "It is similar to what I expected. Even true gods who have transcended cannot enter," Bloodblade said. At the same time, he turned to the confused Dombush Shuang and explained with a smile. "The stronger one is, the greater the pressure on the cosmos tunnel. According to what I know, cosmos tunnels are usually split into 3 levels. The lowest level is like this one, and it must be a being who has yet to transcend. They are still within the river of time and are protected by the cosmos. The second level is where ordinary true gods and paragons can enter. The third level is also the highest level, and even rulers can enter. And this one in front of us is the lowest level." Bloodblade shook his head. "Its value is limited. If it is a large-scale cosmos tunnel, it is still very precious. After all, it is rare for one to be able to go to another cosmos. Like me, Monarch Green, and Purgatory Ruler, we have all gone to other cosmos and had a huge breakthrough in our strength." Dombush Shuang nodded. Senior disciple Brother Monarch Green had gone to another cosmos before breaking through to become a ruler. According to the investigation of the Black Gourd Treasure Spirit, he should be ranked 3rd in the Cultivator Cosmos. "Dombush Shuang, you have yet to transcend. You can go and try," Temporal Island Lord said. "Right," Bloodblade added. "You can go and try. But the war with the Ancestor Mother Religion?" Dombush Shuang could not help but ask. Temporal Island Lord shook his head. "You should not participate in it. With your current strength, you might lose your life in a large-scale war. By then, it won't be a sneak attack by a few religious leaders. Instead, it will be the final battle of the entire Ancestor Mother Religion," Bloodblade said. "You can join, but just listen to my orders. Snow Eagle's Black Gourd will be of some help." The Temporal Island Lord was startled. He looked at the Bloodblade and curled his lips. "Fine, he's your disciple. You decide." With that, the Temporal Island Lord disappeared. Bloodblade looked at Dombush Shuang, chuckling. "If you wish to participate in the war with the religious leaders, you'll have to cultivate more. Every ruler has grasped a Tao at the Eternal Realm, and their Tao has become a law, forming a law domain. Their words are laws, and they are different from paragons in battle. You should have experienced a thing or two after being ambushed this time. The religious leaders from the Ancestor Mother Religion are much more clumsy than us rulers." "Understood," Dombush Shuang replied solemnly. "Yes. Previously, when he was ambushed, by the time he discovered the enemy's weapon was already in front of him. From the beginning to the end, he didn't even discover the enemy's true body. Naturally, it was also due to the other party working together to ambush him, but it also showed the gap in strength between them. Even if the other party wanted to ambush him, his mirage world could not discover the enemy. I can't be arrogant. With my current strength, I can barely wrestle with a ruler without relying on the Black Gourd, but I would still lose. Furthermore, it would be a war between races." Dombush Shuang was inwardly startled. "I'll send you back first to prevent these shameless Ancestor Mother Religion from ambushing us again," Bloodblade said. At the same time, he constructed an array around him. The array enveloped and concealed the cosmos passage. This is the method to enter and exit the array. If the Ancestor Mother Religion were to come here, I'll definitely discover them. Dombush Shuang received the method to enter and exit the array through his communication treasure. Following that, Bloodblade brought Dombush Shuang along and teleported through time-space. He first sent Dombush Shuang back to the Black Fog Sea before returning to the Bloodshed God Palace. Within the vast palace hall of the Ancestor Mother Religion, The fanged religious leader sat cross-legged looking at the 5 religious leaders who appeared in front of him. All 5 of them were injured, with the black-armored female religious leader suffering the heaviest injuries. There was a huge hole in her abdomen that penetrated through her body, though it was currently healing. "Why are you in such a sorry state?" The fanged religious leader looked at them. "We met Bloodblade. He suddenly appeared and ambushed us, causing us to suffer some losses." "Where's the Black Gourd?" "Dombush Shuang suffered from our joint ambush, yet he was only injured. He immediately used the Black Gourd, causing the 5 of us to suffer from the ripples from the Black Gourd. Our ambush did not kill him, and it is impossible for us to kill him within a short period. We were also worried that Bloodblade would wait for the rulers to arrive before retreating. Nevertheless, Bloodblade still chased after us." The religious leaders felt sullen. The 5 of them worked together to kill a opening realm brat, yet they could not kill him. The fanged religious leader turned silent. He did not ask any further. Since they failed, it meant that Dombush Shui Ying's survival capabilities were much more formidable than what was reported in the intelligence reports. "Then let's take a rest," the fanged religious leader nonchalantly said. "This time, we dealt with Dombush Shuang for 2 reasons. Firstly, to vent our anger, and secondly, to get that Black Gourd. Even though the Black Gourd has its uses, it doesn't matter if we don't get it. Now that our ancestor mother religion has been exposed, and the cultivator cosmos knows of our goal, there is no need for us to hide anymore. Let's make full use of our time. Before Bloodblade's Void Twin Extreme Array discovers us, we must frantically gather resources and prepare for the final battle." "Amen." The 5 religious leaders nodded. Previously, they were afraid of being exposed. Now that they had fallen out with the other party, they naturally had to frantically gather resources. "Let's do our best. With the endless accumulation of our cosmos, and with all the religious leaders risking their lives, we have a chance of reversing the situation. We will kill all the rulers and win the war. We will erect the Ancestor Mother altar, and from then on, this cosmos will belong to us." The eyes of the fanged religious leader were burning with madness. "Let's wait for the final battle." The 5 religious leaders were also burning with fighting spirit. Bloodshed God Palace, within the wooden courtyard. Primal Master, Abyss Primogenitor, and Bloodblade were all here. The Ancestor Mother religion is becoming more and more ruthless. They are too lazy to conceal their actions. Primal Master frowned. In the past, they have been gathering resources in the dark. I'm afraid they will become even more unbridled in the future. The Bloodshed Tavern and Temporal Temple are both gathering resources. Furthermore, they are monitoring the entire cosmos. The moment they discover anyone wantonly gathering resources, they will immediately investigate. If they discover any traitors, they will be captured alive. If not, they will be killed. Bloodblade coldly said. Abyss Primogenitus said with a grand voice. Bloodblade, your avatar technique has been learned by Primal and I. Who are you planning to impart it to next? Bloodblade pondered. He said, we have to discuss this properly. Honestly speaking, with Bamboo Mountain appearing amongst the paragons, I am also worried that there will be traitors amongst the rulers. Primal and Primogenitor, the two of you are the most ancient rulers. It is impossible for you to be traitors. That time, the Ancestor Mother religion has yet to invade. But I am not 100% confident of dealing with some rulers. Amen. Abyss Primogenitor nodded. In terms of cultivation time, I am the earliest in our Dark Abyss, followed by Purgatory ruler. I have a good relationship with Purgatory, and I have watched him rise step by step. I trust him. And finally, there is Bloody Ruler Nile. Nile is the youngest, and has the best relationship with you, Bloodblade. Pang Yi is also impossible for him to be a traitor. He is one of the fierce 5 of the deity world. In terms of cultivation time, he is close to me. Primal Master said. Empress Qian, he is definitely not a problem. I still trust Temporal Island Lord. Myriad God Palace Head has cultivated quite early too. Instead, it is Monarch Green, your eldest disciple Monarch Green. His personality seems to have changed greatly. But he should not be a traitor. If he was, he would have easily helped the ancestor mother religion obtain the primal chaos flying ship when he was still a paragon. From what you said, it seems there are no suspicions. Abyss Primogenite asked. How many ancestor mother religion have reincarnated? How hard is it to cultivate to the ruler realm? Bloodblade said. There are two possibilities. 1. There are no traitors. 2. If there is a traitor, then it is bloody ruler Nile. As for Monarch Green, I trust him a lot. And I have already imparted the avatar technique to him. You suspect Nile? Primal and Abyss Primogenitor were startled. Right. Bloodblade nodded. He then chuckled. It is good for us to have a traitor. We can make use of him to make the ancestor mother religion suffer a huge loss. Even though the war was about to erupt, but the cultivators were clearly very confident. The primal chaos flying ship was a killing move. Bloodblade's avatar technique was similarly a killing move. By relying on the avatar technique and Bloodblade's cosmos stone heart to cultivate, every ruler could have 3 bodies. This allowed the overall combat power of the cultivator rulers to soar. The ancestor mother religion and the cultivators were both preparing for the final battle. The moment it began, it would determine the fate of the entire cosmos. And Dongbu Shuang returned to the Black Fog Sea to accompany his wife. Jing Qiu and her husband walked by the lake. It is a rare opportunity to go to another cosmos. Furthermore, you have said that we are going to war with the ancestor mother religion soon. It is naturally better for you to be stronger. This is a small-scaled cosmos passage. I'll go over first and scout the path. I'll bring you along when the time comes. Dongbu Shuang said. I'll bring Qing Yao and Yura too. Jing Qiu said. Amen, let's go together. Dongbu Shuang chuckled. He would naturally not forget about his family when he had such an opportunity. All right, it's time for me to go. We can't waste any time now. Dongbu Shuang said. Be careful. Jing Qiu said. Rest assured. Dongbu Shuang chuckled before flying into the sky. He tore through the time-space passage and left. But Dongbu Shuang was not in a rush to leave. Instead, he returned to the material realm's Xia people's world. He left behind the Black Gourd, the starting ground talisman, the blood serpent spear, and other important treasures. He only brought along some commonly used items. Even his weapon was a violet wooden spear he obtained from the protector of the ancestor mother religion. It was originally the weapon of an apex protector from the ancestor mother religion. Even though it could not compare to the blood serpent spear, it was sufficiently tough and sharp. He did not dare to bring anything too precious. After all, everything in the other cosmos was unknown. He was afraid of dying there and losing his important treasures. There was silence in the starry sky. Dongbu Shuang turned into a stream of light as he easily penetrated through the arrays constructed by Bloodblade. Soon, he saw that pitch-black cosmos passage. There was a gray fog rolling around the entrance of the cosmos passage. Let's go in and have a look. Dongbu Shuang was filled with anticipation. He followed suit and flew towards the entrance of the cosmos passage. End of this chapter, ***. Chapter 747. Dusky fog was rolling within the pitch-black 100-meter-wide hole. As Dongbu Shuang flew in, he felt a warm energy caressing him. He had an epiphany. This is the operating law of the cosmos? He had yet to transcend. He was a life form within the river of time, and the operating law of the cosmos would definitely protect him. Shio. As he flew within the hole, everything in front of him was pitch black. Occasionally, there would be a distorted colorful light. The distortion of space-time made Dongbu Shuang feel uncomfortable. Within the cosmos passage, his perception of time was distorted. Every moment felt long, yet it felt like a long time. It felt like a short time. Amidst the strange distortion, Dongbu Shuang finally saw light coming from the end of the cosmos passage. Furthermore, an unseen law energy began enveloping him. Different from the cultivator cosmos, this was the operating law of another cosmos. Amen? Dongbu Shuang was slightly startled. Before setting off, His teacher Blood Blade had transmitted a set of intelligence to him. It was a simple and crude piece of general knowledge regarding entering other cosmos. Most people would be rejected after entering another cosmos. They might not even be able to absorb the world energy. And some cosmos would reject outsiders to the extreme. They might even lead the lifeforms in their own cosmos to surround and kill the outsiders. According to what Gu Qianluo said, the ancestor mother religion cosmos is extremely xenophobic. The moment they occupy our cosmos, not only will we be unable to absorb any energy, we will also have nowhere to hide. We will be constantly surrounded. According to the intelligence I've gathered, there are fewer xenophobic cosmoses. Most of them would simply reject outsiders, preventing them from absorbing world energy. According to legends, there are cosmoses that do not reject outsiders. The intelligence provided by Blood Blade was not much, but Dongbua Shuang had firmly remembered it in his heart. This cosmos? Just by feeling the operating law of another cosmos enveloping him, Dongbua Shuang could feel an unseen acceptance. There was no rejection at all. I've brought many deity crystals with me. I'm just afraid I can't absorb world energy. Dongbua Shuang could not help but sigh. From the looks of it, the universe that I've arrived at is very tolerant of outsiders. Even if he really couldn't absorb it, Dongbua Shuang wasn't worried. This was because apart from bringing a large number of God crystals with him, he mainly relied on the Walker's hidden secret and the laws of mysteries that he had comprehended. When cultivating the Walker's hidden secret, it guided the power of the primal chaos void to descend and absorb and refine it. No matter which universe it was, it could guide the power of the primal chaos void. This was not a power that belonged to the universe. Phew! Dongbua Shuang flew out of the pitch-black hole. This was his first time coming to another universe. Instinctively, he retracted all his aura and hid in the mirage world. The Void Walkers were born with the ability to conceal their aura. Their bodies were like the void, without a trace of aura. It was even more powerful than the Bloodshed Tavern Master's robe. There really is life. Dongbua Shuang immediately discovered other life forms. This was a starry sky. On a barren planet in the starry sky, there was a palace that stood in a desolate desert. Within the palace, there was a burly man drinking wine by himself. However, his gaze was fixed on a relatively hidden pitch-black hole that was only 100 meters in diameter in the distant starry sky. The burly man's body was covered in black scales, and there were spikes on his elbows and knees. His face was dark red, and his head was covered with black scales. There was a long-tailed maid serving him by the side. He was drinking alone while observing the distant universe passage. This universe passage appeared not long ago. It is a small-scale universe passage. There should be lifeforms from other universes entering soon. The black-scaled muscular man muttered. Could it be that they have not discovered this universe passage? Let's wait a little longer. This universe passage appeared near my territory, and I was the first to discover it. This is my luck. If the lifeforms from other universes are special, they might be able to sell for a high price. The black-scaled muscular man waited patiently. Amen? Within the mirage world. Shuang looked at that desolate planet in the distant starry sky. Even though the palace on that desolate planet seemed to be invisible, it could not be hidden from the probing of the mirage world. It could not be hidden from his current perception of the void either. Other than a group of attendants at the deity and world deity realm, the strongest person in the palace should be a true god. A true god? Dongbua Shuang frowned. The other party should not have discovered him. Most likely, the other party was weaker than him. I wonder how his comprehension of the laws of profound mysteries is, and if he can withstand my illusory realm. Dongbua Shuang did not dare to act recklessly. After all, this was another universe, and he was an outsider. Under such a situation, he had to be extremely cautious. He could not afford to make a mistake. What? Dongbua Shuang suddenly froze. He could no longer care about the true god who was waiting for his prey in the distant starry sky. At this moment, Dongbua Shuang's heart was filled with waves of shock. This. Dongbua Shuang was tongue-tied. The time flow of this universe. Through the connection of his soul, he could sense his true body. His true body was in his hometown universe, and he was currently in this universe, comparing the time flow. 3,566 times? Dombush Shuang muttered. A day in my hometown universe is 10 years in this universe? Dombush Shuang did not dare believe it. How could the time flow of the two universes be so different? Equipment spirit, equipment spirit! The white-robed Dombush Shuang, who was in his hometown, immediately asked the black gourd. Equipment spirit, is there a huge difference in the time flow of the two universes? Dombush Shuang asked. The black gourd's equipment spirit had followed Void Walker Gucci for a period of time, so it was much more knowledgeable. There is a huge difference between the two universes, and it is even possible that the laws of operation are completely different. However, as for the time flow, because all the universes exist in the primal chaos void, they are all affected by the primal chaos void. The difference in the flow of time is usually not big. The flow of time in your home universe is considered to be a relatively normal flow of time. The other universes usually have a time flow of 10 times slower than your hometown universe. Some are slower than yours. Some are faster. Within 10 times? But the time flow of this universe that I entered is 3,566 times faster than my hometown universe. What? More than 3,000 times? What's wrong? Dombush Shuang asked. Some universes are born naturally from the primal chaos void, and some are created by terrifying existences. Those who can create universes are usually existences at the level of Forefather Tianyu and Void Walker Gucci. The black gourd's equipment spirit explained. If it is a universe that is specially created, the universe's appearance is completely determined by the creator. But to maintain such a fast time flow of a cosmos is also an unfathomable and troublesome matter. The black gourd equipment spirit continued. No matter what, we can confirm that this cosmos that you entered was created by an ancient existence. He purposely sped up the time flow. I understand. Dombush Shuang thought. After understanding some information from the black gourd equipment spirit, Dombush Shuang became more vigilant. A powerful existence similar to Forefather Tianyu and Gucci had created a cosmos, and was willing to pay the price to maintain such a fast time flow. This cosmos was definitely extraordinary. It was better for him to remain low profile. Of course, knowing that the time flow was more than 3,000 times faster still made him happy. Just this time flow made his journey to this cosmos worthwhile. He could make use of this time flow to properly cultivate. Originally, the war between the ancestor-mother religion and the cultivators was fast. But by relying on this cosmos time flow, he should be able to increase his strength by a huge amount. I have to hurry and find someone weaker and control him through the illusory realm to understand the general situation of this cosmos. South. Dombush Shuang teleported and disappeared. And that black-scaled muscular man in the palace on the desolate planet was still staring silently at his prey. He did not know that Dombush Shuang had long left. Chapter 748. Dombush Shuang teleported time and time again, and discovered a few life planets. He even flipped through the memories of a deity. With his current realm, he was able to avoid harming the other party in the slightest when flipping through the memories of a deity. South. Dombush Shuang appeared in the starry sky, looking at a huge planet in the distance. This universe, what exactly is going on? Dombush Shuang felt even more puzzled as he flipped through the memories. There is a Stage 3 world deity existence on this planet. His strength is higher, and he should know more. Dombush Shuang looked at the huge planet in front of him. This planet had a diameter of about 5 million kilometers, and was considered big among the countless planets. There were a few palaces on it, and the races of this universe lived there as well. There are only about 10,000 races here. Dombush Shuang shook his head. Previously, he had discovered many life planets, and the races living on them were few in number. The smallest ones only had a few tens of races, and the largest ones only had a few hundred. This planet in front of him had a stage 3 world deity existence, and the number of races living there was only about 10,000. However, there was one thing: even a newborn baby was a transcendent. Who? Dongbu Shuang disappeared, entering the planet. On this planet, there was a group of children wearing underpants flying at high speed. They would occasionally play around in midair, and occasionally laugh out loud. Pen. One of the children sent another flying over 10 kilometers away with a single kick. He even shouted, "Haha, are you not full yet? You don't have any strength at all." However, at this moment, another child came over with lightning speed and launched a sneak attack. The few children were in a mess, and their movements were as fast as lightning. If a demigod transcendent from the Xia people's world were here, they would most likely be trampled by these children. At this moment, the planet's strongest expert, a green-scaled man, was chatting casually with an elder in green-scaled armor. They looked rather similar. They both had green scales, and there were spikes on their backs. Both of them had golden eyes. "Second brother," the green-scaled old man said in a low voice, "it won't be long before I die. This time, I came to see you, second brother, in hopes that you can take care of the children of my clan. Brother, it's not the end yet. It's entirely possible for you to awaken your bloodline again," the green-scaled man said. "You're the only one left among my brothers. Don't give up so easily. I know, my body is already old." Just as he finished speaking, he felt a chill run down his spine. Suddenly, an invisible illusion descended. The green-scaled man and the old man immediately fell into a deep slumber. A black-robed young man walked in. It was Dongbu Shuang. He walked to the green-scaled man and said, "Tell me, who is the strongest existence in this universe? Don't say their names, they'll know. The strongest are the 3 great emperors." The green-scaled man murmured as if he was dreaming. "Great sovereign?" Dongbu Shuang's eyes lit up. Previously, when he flipped through the memories of the little deity, his understanding of the true gods was just bits and pieces. "Are the great sovereigns true gods?" Dongbu Shuang asked. What he was most concerned about was whether the pinnacle of strength in this universe was within the realm of true gods. "The great sovereigns are above the true gods," the green-scaled man continued. Dongbu Shuang's heart twitched. He felt an invisible pressure pressing down on him, and he continued asking. In another starry sky far away in this universe, on a beautiful and auspicious planet, a figure soared into the sky. It was a man with a vigorous aura, and his entire body was covered in green-scaled armor. Although he wore a simple silver armor, the scales on his exposed arms were covered in mysterious patterns. His eyes were emitting a faint golden light. "My descendant, why is his life form so strange?" This silver-armored man waved his hand, and a streamlined battleship appeared beside him. He took a step forward and entered the battleship. Sila, the battleship tore open a space-time tunnel as it advanced at a rapid speed. At this moment, Dongbu Shuang was still asking for information. The more he understood, the more shocked he became. This Stage 3 world deity existence clearly had some understanding of the entire universe. "It's actually like this." Dongbu Shuang completely understood. In this universe, one relied on bloodline awakening to increase their strength. It was a little like the primordial bloodline awakening of the Xia people's world. After a long period of reproduction, almost all the ordinary lifeforms at the bottom of this universe had a bloodline of the highest level. Thus, they all had the potential to awaken their bloodlines to an extremely high level. Among them, the father was extremely powerful. Usually, the second generation of children would have a thicker and stronger bloodline. The third and fourth generation would continuously weaken. A powerful expert would form a powerful clan. In this universe, the clans formed their power. The strongest were the 3 great emperor-class clans. Next were the king-class clans. After them were the true god clans. Any lower? They were not worth mentioning. The 3 great emperor-class clans were because each of them had a great emperor. Great emperor surpassed the realm of rulers, and had even broken through the realm of true god, reaching an even higher level. With the large amount of information Dongwu Shuang obtained from the Void Walker inheritance, the realm above True God was Void God. This was a publicly acknowledged title because reaching this level would allow one to travel in the primal chaos void with his fleshy body. 3 great void gods. King-class existences were true god rulers, and there should be many of them. True god clans had true gods, and the number of true gods should be more than 10,000. Heavens! The overall strength of this cosmos is dozens to 100 times stronger than our cosmos? Dongwu Shuang was startled. His cosmos did not have a single void god, yet here, there were 3. They rarely cultivated and preferred to battle. During battle, it was easier for their bloodline to awaken. Every time they awakened their bloodline, their strength would greatly increase. Dongwu Shuang told all these to the Black Gourd Treasure Spirit, asking for his opinion. Bloodline cultivation system? The Treasure Spirit was startled. A cosmos with such a cultivation system has a huge background. It isn't good to offend them. Oh? Dongwu Shuang felt puzzled. It is very difficult to awaken one's bloodline, the Treasure Spirit said. Dongwu Shuang nodded. That's right, he had spent quite a lot of effort to awaken his primordial bloodline. The majority of living beings in this cosmos were only at the transcendent level. Even though there were more than 10,000 who could become true gods, there were still very few of them compared to the billions of people in the cosmos. One had to know that there were several hundred powerful existences in the cultivator cosmos. But the bloodline must have an origin, the Treasure Spirit said. The bloodline of the origin is extremely formidable, and only the descendants have a chance of awakening it. Just like your Xia people's world, primordial lifeforms had once been born. Because there were primordial lifeforms, only then would there be primordial bloodlines. And for bloodlines to become the cultivation system of the entire cosmos, to the point of giving birth to void gods, then the origin of this bloodline must be a terrifying existence. The Treasure Spirit said, I suspect that it is their primogenitor who created this cosmos. Thus, the countless lifeforms in this cosmos have a strong background. Behind them is their primogenitor. And for the cosmos to maintain a time flow of 3,000 times faster than normal, it should be their primogenitor, hoping to give birth to more powerful descendants, the Treasure Spirit said. Dongwu Shuang nodded as he listened. Bloodline cultivation system. Just like his own bloodline, his descendants were relatively formidable. But it was hard for them to form a cosmos race and form a huge bloodline cultivation system. And the primogenitor of this cosmos race had done it. The bloodline cultivation system is slightly easier to break through as compared to your laws and profound mysteries system. But this system has a huge weakness. It is very hard to reach the primogenitor level. The Treasure Spirit explained. But according to what I see, their primogenitor is very terrifying. Thus, even if one cultivates to a level close to the primogenitor level, it is already very powerful. Asterisk asterisk. Chapter 749. While Dongwu Shuang was inquiring about the situation through the illusory realm, a battleship had already arrived in the starry space outside this planet. Within the battleship, a silver-armored man with green scales all over his body was coldly looking at the scene within the battleship. Within the scene, Dongwu Shuang was currently inquiring about the situation. A life formed from a foreign cosmos. What audacity, to actually dare to act against a descendant of me, Shan Dan. This man's golden eyes were filled with coldness. However, he still habitually checked the strength of the other party first. 1. A formless ripple swept over from the battleship, flitting past that planet. What? The silver-armored, green-scaled man was initially cold. But at this moment, his expression changed. Judging from the aura of the soul, it's at the Paragon realm? This battleship was bestowed to him by the highness he followed. It was extremely proficient in traversing through space-time and checking the aura of the soul. Although it wasn't as heaven-defying as the Black Gourd's equipment spirit, it was still able to check the strength of the other party's soul. But at the very least, it could determine the rough strength of the other party. I didn't expect to meet a foreign race expert on a random trip. Moreover, he's even at the Paragon realm. The silver-armored, green-scaled man nodded slightly. Ying and Dongbush Shuang, who was originally inquiring about the situation and conversing with the equipment spirit through his original body in his homeworld, felt a formless ripple sweeping past him. This ripple was extremely weak, but regardless of whether it was the mirage world or his control over the void, they were all able to detect it. Amen? Dongbush Shui Ying's expression changed. He could not help but turn his head. His gaze pierced through the walls of the hall he was in and saw the battleship and the starry space. In fact, his gaze even pierced through the void and saw the silver-armored, green-scaled man within the battleship. The two of them stared at each other from afar. This foreign race brother is truly vigilant. To think that you could actually discover me. A voice rang out. The silver-armored, green-scaled man had already appeared in this hall. From your appearance, you shouldn't be one of the lifeforms from the 8 great cosmoses that my race conquered, right? Dongbush Shuang looked at the other party. Just now, he had already understood quite a bit of information. He also knew that this universe, as a bloodline cultivation system, was very warlike. In fact, this cosmos would often form cosmos passageways. Using these cosmos passageways, the juggernauts had already conquered the other 8 cosmos. In order to conquer a cosmos, one had to have a cosmos passageway of the highest grade. Only those who had not transcended could enter and exit a cosmos like the one Dongbush Shuang had used. Clearly, it was impossible to send an army to conquer it. Naturally, even though they had conquered 8 cosmoses, they were much better off than the ancestor mother religion. They would treat the living beings in the original universe well, just letting their people go to other universes to reproduce. They would even treat the alien races the same as the experts of their own race. My name is Dongbush Shuang. This is my first time in this universe, Dongbush Shuang said. I'm Shan Dan. The silver-armored, green-scaled man glanced at the 2 descendants who had fallen into an illusion. They can be considered the ancestors of these 2 little fellows. They are my bloodline descendants. Dongbush Shuang felt a little awkward. The illusory realm he executed just happened to deal with the other party's descendants. Ha ha ha, you might not know, but we are able to sense our bloodline descendants at all times. Naturally, we will pay attention to those who are stronger. The silver-armored, green-scaled male said. I only rushed over because I sensed that something is wrong with my descendants. I'm ashamed. This is my first time here, and I know nothing. That's why I use such a method, Dongbush Shuang said. At the same time, he kept his illusory realm. The 2 bloodline descendants immediately woke up from their slumber. They looked at the 2 newcomers with shock, especially when they saw the silver-armored, green-scaled male. They immediately stood up, shouting excitedly and crazily. Patriarch! The bloodline in their bodies allowed them to understand that the person in front of them was the ancestor of their clan. The creator of a clan, the strongest expert, the patriarch, Shan Dan. Amen. The silver-armored, green-scaled male nodded indifferently. I'm here to meet a good friend of mine. The 2 of you can continue with your matters. Brother Dong, shall we talk outside? Shan Dan was relatively polite. All right, but Brother Shan Dan, it's better if you call me Dongbua. Dongbush Shuang mumbled inwardly. Brother Dong? This was the first time he heard such a form of address. So. The 2 of them soon arrived in the starry sky outside. Ha ha ha, Dongbua, you've just arrived in our cosmos, so you might not understand much. But you should know of the 3 great emperor clans, right? They are the 3 void god clans, Shan Dan said. I've just heard of it, Dongbush Shuang said. I'm currently working for one of the 3 great emperor clans, the Jiao Yun clan, Shan Dan said. Great Emperor Jiao Yun has 3 children, and they are the 3 majesties. Their bloodlines are extraordinary, and their potential is great. Coupled with their noble status, they can command large amounts of resources. Many experts are willing to follow their majesties. I'm currently following the 3rd majesty, Jiao Yun Lu. Dongbush Shuang nodded as he heard that. He could guess it too. In the bloodline cultivation system, the children of void gods would naturally have a noble status. In addition to the relationship between father and son, they would also focus on nurturing their children. The treasures and resources that void gods had would far surpass one's imagination if they were to give it to their children. You should know that our cosmos loves to fight, and the weak are prey to the strong. The strong live, and the weak die, Shandan said. Fighting is cruel. Even the majesties will fight and kill each other. As long as the true body's life isn't threatened, the void god emperors will not interfere. Dongbua Shuang listened. He knew that even though this Shandan was polite to him, the competition in this cosmos was cruel. But although this universe was tolerant, the competition was very cruel. The weak were prey to the strong. They looked down on the weak and respected the strong. They would even use the weak to buy and sell, and watch them kill each other for fun. Even the majesties high up had many setbacks. After all, no matter how noble their bloodline was, they had to undergo tempering and awakening. That is why His Third Highness is also recruiting protectors, Shandan said. Dongbua, you have the strength of a paragon, and can totally join under His Highness. What are the benefits? Dongbua Shuang directly asked. What do I have to pay? He came to this cosmos precisely to increase his strength. Benefits that most people can't get can be easily bestowed to you by His Highness, Shandan said. His Highness still places great importance on his protectors. As for what you have to pay, it's nothing much. His Highness will arrange a place for you to stay, and you just have to cultivate. Most of the time, only when you meet with trouble or danger would the protectors have to act to protect His Highness. His Highness is currently at the Paragon realm. At this realm, it is rare for him to meet with danger, Shandan said. The last time he met with trouble was more than 1 billion years ago. Can I obtain the cultivation techniques from other cosmos? Dongbua Shuang asked. Ha ha ha, that is the easiest. Shandan laughed. There are plenty of them. All right, I can give it a try. Dongbua Shuang nodded. Let's go. Shandan was very happy. He was very clear that among the 3 highnesses in the Jiayun family, the second highness had already become a ruler. As the first highness was the first to be born, he received the most benefits. Although he was only at the Paragon realm, he had many experts following him. He was much stronger than the third highness. Even within the Jiayun family, the third highness was at a disadvantage. Therefore, he was in urgent need of manpower. Paragons were already an important combat power. Hu! Shandan brought Dongbua Shuang with him on the battleship and departed. What a fast speed! Dongbua Shuang was shocked by the battleship. Chapter 750. Hidden deep underground, the third highness, Jiao Yunlu, was looking at a black plant in front of him. This black plant had a total of 3 dark green fruits growing on it. Hurry up and ripen! I have waited for too long. Jiao Yunlu had a rather delicate appearance. Scarlet scales covered his entire body, and there was a dark red scale between his eyebrows. His face was rather fair, and his entire aura was reserved and gentle. At this moment, his gaze landed on the black plant, and there was a hint of desire in his eyes. Your Highness, the fruits are still far from ripening. The 3 of us will be in charge of taking care of them. You can rest assured. A black-skinned man with vertical eyes laughed. He was also from a different race and came from another cosmos. However, he was a trusted aide of the third highness. Beside him were 2 other experts. Your Highness, Shandan said that a foreign race paragon called Dongbua Shuang will be arriving soon, said a guard behind Jiao Yunlu. All right, let's go. Jiao Yunlu nodded and left with his guards. Although they were underground, there were many ancient spirit arrays around them. The security was extremely tight. Jiao Yunlu looked at these spirit arrays and nodded his head. Although he knew that the fruits were still far from ripening, he could not help but come to take a look. He was afraid that an accident would happen. He had to personally see that the fruits were still growing before he could be at ease. Although he lived on the surface, and even the spirit arrays were controlled by him, he still came to check time and time again. When the fruits ripen, my strength will increase greatly. I might even be able to awaken my bloodline and step into the ruler realm. I might even be conferred the title of king. Jiao Yunlu's eyes flashed with a hint of sharpness. Jiao Yunlu and his guards quickly arrived on the surface. Under the lead of another clone of Shan Dan, they went to welcome him. This is Brother Dongbua Shuang? Jiao Yunlu smiled. Shuang had just arrived on this planet when he met the Third Highness, who had brought a group of protectors to personally welcome him. Shan Dan's true body reminded him. This is the Third Highness. Greetings, Third Highness. Dongbua Shuang bowed slightly. I've been recruiting guards all this while. I'm glad that Brother Dongbua Shuang is willing to join us. However, I'd like to see how strong you are, Guard Dongbua. What do you think? The third Prince Jiao Yunlu said. After all, even among supremacies, there were strong and weak ones. He had to at least have a rough understanding of the guards around him. Dongbua Shuang nodded. Anytime. Then, Protector Tsong, come and fight with Protector Dongbo, Third Prince Jiao Yunlu said. All right. A dark-skinned, tall, and muscular man walked out from the group of guards. His entire body was made of metal, and he was not a fleshly life form. Dongbua Shuang understood that the person in front of him was also a member of a different race. After all, this universe was based on the bloodline cultivation system. Naturally, everyone here was made up of flesh and blood. From what he had heard from Shan Dan, the third prince's guards consisted of 15 from this universe and 5 from the foreign races. If he were to join, he would be the 6th. Let's fight in the void. Protector Tsong's voice was deep and resounding. With a single step, he appeared in the starry space. Shuang followed along into the starry sky. The two of them faced each other. Let's begin. Below, the third prince and the group of guards all raised their heads. With their vision, they could see everything clearly. Ho! Protector Tsong suddenly roared. He spat out a white light wave from his mouth. In an instant, it appeared in front of Dongbua Shuang. The guards below watched silently. They were clear that this was one of the killing moves of Protector Tsong's universe's cultivation system. The ripples were nurtured within his body, and it was extremely powerful. Most of them did not dare to face it head-on. They felt that just this move alone would cause that Dongbua Shuang to expend a lot of energy. He might even be defeated. Who? The light wave passed through Dongbua Shuang's body and disappeared into the distant starry space. As for Dongbua Shuang, he was completely unharmed. And then? In the distance, Protector Tsong was startled. The eyes of the third prince brightened. The other protectors were also startled. He actually faced it head-on without any injuries? It was as if his body was void. It's my turn now. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. He displayed the Mirage World technique. Although he looked like he was standing there, he had already entered the Mirage World. Even though the other party's attack had slightly affected his Mirage World, he could easily resist it with his body. He did not even need to move a single step. Dongbua Shuang flipped his hand, causing a dart to appear. This dart was also a spoil of war obtained from the protectors of the Ancestor Mother religion. There were a total of 12 darts in this set, and they were formed from strange bones. Even though they were not true god weapons, they were not any weaker than true god weapons in terms of toughness and sharpness. Actually, most of the weapons used by the Ancestor Mother religion were more primitive weapons like cudgels, sabers, and swords. But most of them could clash head-on with true god weapons. Shio! The dart was thrown out, disappearing without a trace. It had already reached the enemy through the Mirage World. And then? Where is the dart? Where is it? That Protector Tsong widened his metallic eyes as he looked around. He was on high alert, but following that, his expression changed. The dart had already reached his chest. Hong! He did not have the time to defend. This attack that contained a portion of Dongbua Shuang's powerful physical strength and the Tao of Slaughter had reached the enemy through the Mirage World. The enemy could not even defend against it. A loud boom reverberated. A huge hole had been pierced through Protector Tsong's chest. Protector Tsong looked down in a daze before turning back. The dart that attacked him had already disappeared. "I've lost," Protector Tsong muttered. He was clear that he would not be able to withstand that dart even if he were to use it again. "Brother Dongbua is formidable. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. Protector Tsong's body is extraordinary too. This attack of mine has only pierced through a hole," Dongbua Shuang said. He originally planned to heavily injure the other party, leaving him with a chance of survival. But who would have thought that after barely piercing through the other party's chest, the power of the dart would be depleted? The other party's body was clearly extremely tough. The third Prince Jiao Yunlu was very enthusiastic. "Protector Dongbua's strength is extraordinary. However, I don't think that Protector Dongbua has any good weapons. He doesn't even have a true god weapon. Does Protector Dongbua specialize in darts?" "No, it's a spear," Dongbua Shuang said. "Spear?" Jiao Yunlu nodded. "I do have a spear here. I stole it from the treasury that my father forged." As he spoke, he waved his hand. A set of black robes and a silvery white spear appeared in front of him. There was even a grey warship beside them. The warship's design was extremely similar to the one Shan Dan controlled. Dongbua Shuang was startled. "Accept it. Every protector has one," Jiao Yunlu said. Dongbua Shuang immediately accepted it. As he did so, he could feel the terrifying sharpness contained within the silvery white spear. In terms of sharpness, it seemed to be above the blood serpent spear. However, the forging method of this spear was different from the blood serpent spear and other true god weapons. It did not contain the Tao of the Eternal Realm or the Tao of the Opening Realm. Instead, it contained layers of ancient and complicated arrays. "Is this a true god weapon forged from another system?" Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. Old Ancestor Tianyu had left behind a large number of weapons at the starting ground. Old Ancestor Tianyu was the ancestor of their cultivator universe. He also cultivated the laws and profound mysteries system. Naturally, his weapons were of the same system. Different cultivation systems would usually have completely different weapon forging methods. However, the might of the weapons would not necessarily be weak. For example, his black gourd relied on that terrifying void array to easily control an existence on the level of the sun star. A true god weapon could not compare to it. "I heard from Shan Dan that you want techniques from another cultivation system?" The third Prince Jiao Yunlu laughed. "I'm very curious. I want to see if they can be of any help to my cultivation," Dongbua Shuang replied. "Ha ha, this is very normal. Every cultivation system has its own uniqueness." The third Prince Jiao Yunlu flipped his hand and pieces of crystals appeared. These crystals contain a large number of techniques from the cultivation systems of the 18 cosmoses. Some of them are similar. Some of them are completely different. As he spoke, he passed the crystals to Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang was shocked. Cultivation systems from the 18 cosmoses? That's right. Although this cosmos had conquered 8 cosmoses, there were still other small cosmos passageways and medium cosmos passageways that connected to other cosmoses. It was possible to obtain techniques from the cultivation systems there. "If you have any needs, feel free to look for me." The third Prince Jiao Yunlu laughed. "The only thing I can help you with is these external resources." Dongbua Shuang held onto the crystals and sensed the vast amount of information within them. They represented the various cosmos civilizations, and he sighed inwardly. "What I need your help with are these external resources." "Thank you, third prince." Dongbua Shuang was in an extremely good mood. If he were to rely on himself to collect the cultivation systems, he would most likely not be able to match up to the number of techniques the Void God clan possessed. Chapter 751. Let's go, the banquet has already been prepared. The Third Highness Jiao Yunlu spoke. The surrounding guards also headed to the banquet. After the display of his abilities, the attitude of these guards towards Dongbua Shuang was much better. Dongbua Shuang also attended the banquet and enjoyed the delicacies of the other cosmos. This cosmos was also filled with flesh and blood lifeforms, so the food was quite appetizing. As for the metallic protector Tsong who fought with Dongbua Shuang, he only drank a few mouthfuls of wine. He did not touch the delicacies at all. After the banquet, Lord Dongbua, this is your cave dwelling. A servant specially sent Dongbua Shuang over. At the entrance of the cave dwelling, there was also a group of servants welcoming Dongbua Shuang. Greetings, master. The large group of servants were incomparably respectful. They knew that from today onwards, their lives belonged to this powerful alien in front of them. Even if they were killed in a fit of anger, they would have died in vain. Dongbua Shuang swept his gaze across them. The strongest of these servants was only a stage 2 world deity, while the majority of them were deities. I need to cultivate. Do not disturb me if there's nothing important, Dongbua Shuang instructed. Yes. The group of servants heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this was someone who loved to cultivate. This time, he would probably cultivate for a very long time. The huge door of the cultivation hall within the cave dwelling closed with a rumble. Dongbua Shuang waved his hand, causing a black ring to land on the table. His body disappeared into thin air, entering the world within the black ring. This was a grassland. On the grassland, Dongbua Shuang sat cross-legged as he inspected the weapons, robes, battleships, and other items given by the Third Highness. This caused Dongbua Shuang to nod his head. This spear is not any less valuable than my blood serpent spear. The battleship is similarly valuable. The black robes seem ordinary, but they are extremely tough and can conceal one's aura. These 3 treasures are enough to cause the majority of paragons in our cosmos to covet them. From this point, it was clear that there were many more treasures in this cosmos. Cultivation system. With a flip of his hand, that piece of crystal appeared. Shui Ying's eyes were blazing with passion. This was what he desired the most. Any cultivation system was the crystallization of the wisdom of countless beings in the universe. It was their way of becoming powerful. The cultivation system of the 18 cosmoses, let's begin. Dongbua Shuang calmed his heart and allowed his consciousness to seep into the crystal without any interference. In an instant, a large amount of information was transmitted to him. The vast cultivation system was even accompanied by a large number of techniques and explanations. It should be an explanation recorded by the experts of the universe where the Third Highness came from. Although the bloodline cultivation system mainly relied on the awakening of the bloodline, they were no fools. They would also absorb the advantages of the cultivation systems of other universes to strengthen themselves. Time passed. Even with the strength of Dongbua Shuiying's soul, it still took him 3 whole days to go through all 18 cultivation systems. I see. Because after looking through all 18 cultivation systems, he would naturally compare them and come to a conclusion. There are 2 types of cosmos. One is the cosmos that was born naturally, and the other is the cosmos that was created by ancient existences. Dongbua Shuang thought, thus, the cultivation system is mainly divided into 2 types. The first type is the guidance left behind by ancient existences. This type of cultivation system is destined to be a broad great Tao, allowing one to cultivate to an extremely high level. The second type is in those cosmos that were born naturally. Without any guidance, those beings that were born could only fumble around by themselves. For the sake of survival, for the sake of becoming stronger, for the sake of longevity, they pondered over different cultivation methods. Gradually, the most formidable and most suitable cultivation method became the mainstream of the cultivation of the entire cosmos. Over the long years, it was continuously perfected by countless beings. But no matter how perfect it would still be limited by the scope and strength of the individual. Dongbua Shuang rejoiced inwardly. The cultivation system of his hometown was guided by forefather Tian Yu. The laws and profound mysteries system was a great Tao that reached the pinnacle. There is actually a cultivation system of the ancestor mother religion within these 18 cultivation systems. Dongbua Shuang finally understood how the ancestor mother religion cultivated. The ancestor mother religion, they treated the world as an embryo, and themselves as the infant, using the world to nurture themselves. Once they were strong enough, they would use the cosmos as an embryo to nurture themselves. Such a system required the establishment of the ancestor-mother altar to transform the cosmos. They did not believe in the world or the cosmos. Instead, they believed in an incomparably majestic existence, the ancestor-mother. The ancestor-mother was like a mother, protecting them, nurturing them, allowing them to become stronger, and allowing them to display all sorts of unfathomable abilities. This system was relatively clumsy in the early stages, but the further one went, the stranger it became. Even if they entered the primal chaos void in the future, they could still rely on the primal chaos void to nurture themselves. All sorts of abilities and cultivation techniques were recorded, causing Dongbua Shui Ying's expression to change. It is a very formidable system. Dongbua Shui Ying's true body in his hometown immediately transmitted a large amount of information to his teacher, Bloodblade. Bloodblade was startled. Snow Eagle, you went to the ancestor-mother religion cosmos? No, it is a very powerful cosmos. This cosmos has many cultivation systems, of which the ancestor-mother religion is included. Many cultivation systems? Then you have to be careful. Being greedy isn't a good thing. I understand. When Dongbua Shuang received the Walker's hidden secret inheritance, he knew that some cultivation systems were completely different from each other. They were not suitable for dual cultivation. Only by helping each other would it be a good thing. According to his teacher, Void Walker Gu Qi, the Void Walker system and the Laws and Profound Mysteries system were quite compatible. One cultivated the body, and the other cultivated the laws and profound mysteries. After understanding the various cultivation systems, Dongbua Shuang began attempting to cultivate them. Of the 18 systems, he could only attempt to cultivate 8 of them. The other systems had all sorts of problems, like the bloodline cultivation system. Dongbua Shuang was not a life form from this cosmos. He did not have their bloodline, and naturally, he could not cultivate them. The life forms from the cosmos where Protector Tsong came from all had metallic bodies, and they mainly cultivated their bodies. But the fleshy life forms cultivated their bodies differently, and naturally, they could not cultivate them. The weaker the ancestor-mother religion was, the harsher its requirements for its environment. Dongbua Shuang could not cultivate them either. Only by truly cultivating them can I understand how mysterious they are. Dongbua Shuang began attempting to cultivate the 8 cultivation systems. He was prepared to spend 1,000 years on each of the 8 cultivation systems. With his comprehension ability, 1,000 years was sufficient for him to comprehend a cultivation system thoroughly and understand its essence. These 8 cultivation systems. According to the explanation within the crystal, 2 of them could be cultivated to the pinnacle. The other 6 had flaws. Those who could cultivate to the pinnacle were called witches. They researched the myriad existences, seeking the deepest secrets within them. Using these secrets, the witches could become very powerful. The cosmos where the witches came from and the cosmos where the third prince and the others came from merely had a small-scale passage. But the witches were extremely enthusiastic and willing to take out their own cultivation systems to exchange. They were curious towards the myriad existences, including the myriad existences in other cosmos. The other was called the strongest warrior cultivation system. They could use their cultivation to transform their own bodies. What seemed like an ordinary drop of blood could be treated as a planet for research. They could even treat a particle as a continent for research and reconstruct. As they cultivated, they would be able to delve deeper into the microscopic aspect of their bodies. Following that, they would be able to transform their bodies even further. Their goal in cultivation was to make their bodies as powerful as a cosmos. They were forever chasing after the pinnacle. They did not require weapons because their bodies were their strongest weapons. Eating and digesting weapons was an easy task. They did not require armor. Their skin was incomparably tough. Dongbua Shuang even suspected that the strongest world deity he met at the starting ground might have cultivated the strongest warrior cultivation system. After all, the other party had eaten his flying knife true god weapon, and in just a short moment, the flying knife had become tattered. His digestive ability was terrifying. They are indeed the two cultivation systems that have reached the pinnacle. Dongbua Shuang admitted that these two cultivation systems were formidable. However, these two cultivation systems required a large amount of time and effort. Researching the myriad existences was actually much more complicated than comprehending the laws and profound mysteries. The strongest warrior cultivation system, when it came to body research, was not as simple as a cosmos. As for the other 6 flawed cultivation systems, Amen? In the 5,000 years of cultivation, Dongbua Shuang was in a state of ecstasy. Star. Chapter 752. This was a flawed cultivation system known as the Cosmos Emissary Cultivation System. For the sake of survival, strength, and all sorts of desires, the countless life forms in their universe continuously perfected this cultivation system. When this cultivation system was weak, it could communicate with the heaven and earth and borrow the energy of the heaven and earth to fight. It could also use the energy of the heaven and earth to strengthen itself. When it was strong, it could communicate with the origin of the universe. It could continuously strengthen itself and even control a portion of the origin of the universe. With a wave of its hand, it could control the origin energy of the universe. Its combat power was extremely terrifying. Eventually, in this universe, there would be a terrifying existence who would fuse with the origin of the universe. His own will would be the will of the universe. Within the universe, he would be invincible. However, this cultivation system would end once it reached this level. Because after fusing with the universe would be like a cage trapping him. He would never be able to leave this universe. As for the other cosmos emissaries, because one of them had already fused with the origin of the universe, the other emissaries could no longer fuse with it. Unless they changed to another cultivation system, they would never be able to improve. Their universe was extremely powerful. However, the flaw was very obvious. Within their own universe, they were incomparably powerful. However, the moment they left their own universe, it would be impossible. In other universes, they would not be able to use the origin energy of the universe. Their combat power would drop drastically. There was another problem with this cultivation system. For example, Forefather Tianyu, or the primogenitor of the bloodline cultivation system universe, they would always protect the origin of the universe. Therefore, the origin of the universe that they created would not be able to be controlled or fused with. On the plains, Dongbua Shuang sat cross-legged and cultivated. Dongbua Shuang's cultivation was extremely high, and his body was extremely strong. After comprehending this cultivation system for 100 years, he successfully communicated with the origin of the universe. Rumble, the slaughter energy of the universe's origin directly descended, landing around Dongbua Shuang's body. This is too great. Dongbua Shuang's heart was filled with joy. I originally did not care about this cultivation system, as I felt that its flaws were too obvious. However, from the looks of it, I have still underestimated it. Any cultivation system that can become a cultivation system of a universe is extremely impressive. How can comprehending the laws of profound mysteries compare to experiencing the descent of the universe's origin energy? Dongbua Shuang was pleasantly surprised. According to the rules, the most common laws of heaven and earth and the mortal world were the most basic. There were even higher laws, such as the entire material world's laws, the dark abyss laws, the Lake Heart Island's operating array, the sun star, the moon star's laws. These laws were all of a very high level. At the highest level were the operating rules of a universe. Allowing the origin energy of the universe to descend upon one's body was the most direct way of probing the operating laws of the universe. It was extremely beneficial to his cultivation of the laws. Currently, Dongbua Shuang was mainly cultivating the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter. Thus, he was the first to attempt to allow the slaughter energy of the universe's origin source to descend first. Just sensing isn't enough. I still have to cultivate their techniques. Dark Ripple Technique. Shuang began cultivating the slaughter-related cultivation techniques passed down in that cosmos. From the crystallization of his heart's blood and sweat, he was able to experience the comprehension of the lifeforms in that cosmos towards slaughter. Every single cultivation technique was about controlling the slaughter energy of the cosmos origin. As he truly cultivated them, Dongbua Shui Ying's understanding towards slaughter became deeper and deeper. In his hometown, how many people had opened up the Tao of slaughter? And in the cosmos emissary system, there were many who chose to cultivate the slaughter energy of the universe's origin source. They pursued strength and were naturally willing to choose slaughter. As a result, there were many killing techniques. Slaughter, in the past, my thinking was too shallow. Dongbua Shuiying was completely immersed in his cultivation. Every day, he could feel that his understanding towards slaughter was increasing. Along the way, he even thickened his skin to pay a visit to the Third Highness, asking him to help him gather the Tao of slaughter techniques and absolute arts of the cosmos emissary system. The Third Highness immediately agreed and contacted his clan, requesting for the cultivation techniques and absolute arts of the cosmos emissary system. Third Highness, this system has no future. At most, it can only be used to sense the strength of the universe's origin source. The upper echelons of the clan were somewhat dissatisfied. They even berated. You should train yourself more and fight more. As long as your bloodline awakens, your strength will increase greatly. I understand. I'm just using it as a reference. Uncle Fu, I'll have to trouble you to quickly gather it and send it to me. The Third Highness instructed. All right. Half a month later. There were only 2 more normal cultivation techniques, but 8 absolute arts were brought over. His Third Highness gave all of them to Dongbua Shuiying. This made Dongbua Shuiying sigh inwardly. No matter what, this Third Highness was really attentive towards his guards. He cultivated the slaughter energy origin technique and absolute arts one by one. He did not care about anything else. The only thing he cared about was his understanding towards slaughter. In just 1,000,000 years, his Tao of slaughter had already reached the peak. Of course, other than comprehending the other systems. As for the more important Walker's hidden secret, he did not let his guard down. This was also the reason why he hid in the grotto heaven to cultivate. Every time he cultivated the Walker's hidden secret, he would mobilize the chaotic void energy. If he was discovered, he would be in trouble. In terms of strength, the Walker's hidden secret was above the other systems. After all, it was difficult to find an inheritor in an entire universe. Time flowed by. Because the flow of time was 3,000 times faster than his hometown, less than 10,000 years had passed in his hometown universe, but 30 million years had passed in the Devil Mountain cosmos. Very good. That's great. In the depths of the planet where Dongbua Shuiying was cultivating, the Third Highness, Jiao Yunlu, was looking at the black plant in front of him with a fanatical gaze. The 3 fruits on the black plant had already turned black. They looked very ordinary, and did not seem special at all. Suddenly, the leaves of the black plant started to wither. Congratulations, Your Highness. Now that the Black Devil sacred fruits have ripened, Your Highness will definitely be able to break through and become a ruler. There were a total of 4 guards by the side, and all of them were extremely excited. Ha! Once I become a ruler, things will be completely different. Jiao Yunlu could not hide the smile on his face. He stretched out his hand, and the spirit array protecting the black plant naturally dissipated. He placed his hand under the 3 fruits. As the leaves continued to wither, finally, with a plop, the 3 black fruits fell to the ground and landed in Jiao Yunlu's hands. Jiao Yunlu revealed a look of joy. He took out a golden bottle and placed the 3 black fruits into it. Got it. The third prince, Jiao Yunlu, held on to the golden bottle, and his eyes flickered with a sharp glint. He had been cultivating and laying low for many years. For the sake of this black demon saint fruit, he had sacrificed too much. Now, it was finally ripe. It's time for me to make a comeback, Jiao Yunlu muttered. After which, he turned and walked out. Let's go. He couldn't wait. He was going to start cultivating now. Chapter 753. It has been 30 million years. On a mountain peak, Dongbua Shuiying stood there. He was overlooking this vast Eden world. There were no sentient beings in this Eden world. This was deliberately chosen by Dongwu Shuiying. After all, the power of his walker's hidden secret was too great. Just a slight ripple from it could wipe out countless sentient beings. However, after 30 million years of cultivation, Lin Fan could now control the walker's hidden secret perfectly. He would not allow the chaos void energy to affect his surroundings at all. My current strength has far surpassed that of the 3 holy protectors and heavenly emperor of great destruction. During the final battle between my cultivator Cosmos and the ancestor mother religion, I should not be a hindrance, right? Dongwu Shuiying thought. 30 million years was too long. Before coming to the Devil Mountain Cosmos, he had cultivated for just 10 million years before reaching that level of attainment. Now 30 million years had passed. With his comprehension ability, he had comprehended the void array of the Black Gourd. Not only had his Tao of Mirage reached a bottleneck, even his understanding of the primal chaos void had become more profound. He had pushed the walker's hidden secret to the 6th level. Only after reaching this level did Dongwu Shuiying understand why the void walker lineage was so strict in choosing their inheritors. Even their temperament was required. They were afraid that the inheritor would not be suitable. Indeed, this was a heaven-defying cultivation system. Compared to the 18 widely spread cultivation systems recorded in the crystal given by Third Highness Jiao Yunlu, it had a clear advantage at the Paragon realm. In the future, when one cultivated to the level of Forefather Tian Yu and Lake Heart Island Sword Master, the laws and profound mysteries system might be comparable to the Void Walker lineage. But in the early stages, at least at the Paragon realm, the Void Walker system would suppress all other systems. It is my fortune to be able to enter the Devil Mountain Cosmos with an advantage of 3,000 times faster time flow. Before the final battle, I have to grab hold of this opportunity to improve myself. Dongwu Shuiying felt that he was strong, but this was not the end. His strength still had room for improvement at the Paragon realm. Hong, suddenly, there was a faint tremor outside the Eden treasure. Dongwu Shuiying raised his head with suspicion. What is happening? Guards, quickly protect His Highness! An urgent message was sent to all the guards. Dongwu Shuiying, as a great being from another universe, did not have karma, so he also carried a communication treasure. Protect His Highness? Dongwu Shuiying was shocked. Whoosh! Dongwu Shuiying disappeared from the heavenly abode world. His Highness Jiao Yunlu excitedly rushed back to the palace on the surface and instructed the guards beside him. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion. No one is to disturb me. Yes. The 4 guards replied in unison. Jiao Yunlu had just rushed into his secret hall and closed the door. He was holding the golden bottle in his hand, but he didn't have the time to take out the Black Devil holy fruits. Suddenly, a wave of fluctuation spread out. Jiao Yunlu's expression changed. As he was the one controlling the core formation of this planet, he had immediately sensed that an enemy had infiltrated the planet. South. He immediately rushed out. Just as he reached the entrance of his palace, he saw a group of figures standing in the air. The leader was a man in golden armor. He also had crimson scales, and there was also a crimson scale between his eyebrows. Even his appearance was similar to Jiao Yunlu's, but his eyes were colder. Big brother? Jiao Yunlu's expression turned ashen. My poor little brother, your big brother is here again. The man in golden armor laughed. Your luck is not bad, to actually discover a Black Devil holy fruit tree. Since it's already matured, give it to me, your big brother. Jiao Yunlu's gaze immediately swept past the 4 guards. He no longer had his usual friendliness. Instead, there was a trace of madness. He looked at the 4 guards and gritted his teeth. Which one of you betrayed me? These 4 guards. 2 of them were the ones who had discovered the Black Devil holy fruit tree, while the other 2 were his most trusted guards. However, now that the news had been exposed, he could not have exposed himself. Hence, it could only be one of the 4 guards who knew about the Black Devil holy fruit tree. Not us. When we discovered the Black Devil holy fruit tree, We immediately reported it to His Highness. If we betrayed him, there was no need for us to tell His Highness. 2 of the guards hurriedly said. My useless little brother, you still can't guess it? Cha Yun Nong, your mission is complete. You don't have to stay by my little brother's side anymore. The man in golden armor sneered. Immediately, a tall guard in gray armor flew up and landed beside the man in golden armor and the other experts. He said respectfully, Actually, he didn't suspect me at all. I can continue to stay by his side. Shah! His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at the tall guard in disbelief. You betrayed me? Why? Out of all the guards, he trusted Cha Yun Nong the most. His wife and Cha Yun Nong were blood siblings. Hence, towards Cha Yun Nong, the Third Highness was especially fond of him. Cha Yun Nong should be the one with the lowest talent among his guards. If not for the Third Highness's help, Cha Yun Nong would not have his current strength. Idiot! The tall guard in gray armor sneered, too lazy to say anything else. Little brother, why? Are you still planning to struggle? The man in golden armor smiled. Third Highness. Beside the man in golden armor, a red-haired, one-eyed old man said with a vigorous voice, There's no need to struggle. Just hand over the Black Devil's sacred fruits to the eldest Highness. Otherwise, you and all your guards will die. Within the Devil Mountain cosmos, even the children of void gods would fight against each other. As long as their souls did not dissipate, the void gods would not care. Without experiencing setbacks and tribulations, it was hard for one to become strong even if one had a noble bloodline. Even the void gods would add fuel to the fire in the dark, setting up many traps for their children. Red Devil God Emperor. Jiao Yunlu gritted his teeth. He had fought with the eldest Highness for so many years, and had always been on the losing end. It was all because of this ruler from another race, Red Devil God Emperor. With a ruler helping his big brother, the disparity in strength between both parties made him suffer every single time. His big brother had a cold and crazy personality, tormenting him time after time. To this, that great Emperor Jiao Yun, who was cultivating in the deepest region of the primogenitor Devil Mountain, simply watched on coldly. He was too lazy to care. Hand it over. This time my mood is good, so I won't play with you anymore. The eyes of the golden-armored male were filled with craziness and expectation. He had never thought that this little brother of his could discover the Black Devil's sacred fruit tree. If not for the fact that he was afraid of his little brother destroying the fruit tree, he would have long acted. Only when the fruit matured and the Black Devil's sacred fruit was incomparably tough and indestructible did he reveal himself publicly. After obtaining this sacred object, he had hopes of breaking through to the ruler realm. You are delusional, Jiao Yunlu growled. It's a pity that you can't destroy it even if you want to. Since you don't agree, then I can only act. The golden-armored male softly said. In a while, don't show mercy. Kill them all and take back the Black Devil's sacred fruit. Yes. The group of protectors under him acknowledged. The golden-armored male turned to the Red Devil God Emperor by his side. This was his greatest reliance. For the sake of roping in a ruler to work for him, he had spent quite a bit of effort. The Red Devil God Emperor lightly nodded. Hong. His Highness Jiao Yunlu stood there, but the palace beside him suddenly erupted with rings of arrays. In fact, the arrays all over the planet were activated, causing a powerful aura to surge. His Highness Jiao Yunlu, who was protected by layers of arrays, even took a step back into the palace. He looked at the group of enemies outside through the main door and bellowed. Jiao Yunting, don't even think about getting it. Even if I die, I won't let you get it. What do you mean by death? I'm just going to destroy this clone of yours. You are my little brother. How would I dare to kill you for real? The golden-armored male laughed. There's one more thing that you're wrong about. After I kill all of you, the Black Devil's sacred fruit will be mine. You won't be able to stop me. Protectors, quickly protect His Highness. The other protector beside him felt somewhat uneasy and hurriedly transmitted a message. Hoo. At that moment, the protectors scattered throughout the cavern dwellings on the planet immediately rushed over. The planet was only so big, so even if they were to fly, they would still be able to reach the palace of His Highness Jiao Yunlu in the blink of an eye. Amongst them was Ying, who had rushed over after hearing the news. The golden-armored male swept his gaze across the group of protectors and sneered. A bunch of fools. Go, kill all of them. Chapter 754. Yes. This group of guards was filled with killing intent, especially Chai Yunnom, who had just revealed his identity. He was itching to show his strength. They had the ruler, the Red Devil Emperor, on their side. This filled them with confidence. After all, the difference between a paragon and a ruler was too great. Once one stepped into the ruler realm, it would be a qualitative change. Monarch Green was able to sweep through a group of paragons. However, when he reached the bottleneck in all three DAs, he was only able to fight against the weakest ruler, Bloody Ruler Nile. From this, it could be seen how great the difference between a paragon and a ruler was. They would definitely win. This was a massacre. Boom, 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 boom. All of them transformed into streams of light and charged towards Dongbush Shuaying and the other guards. As for Dongbush Shuaying and the rest, they rushed over with some confusion. Brother Tsong, Brother Shan Dan, what's going on? Dongbush Shuaying did not understand the situation. Beside him, Protector Tsong, Shan Dan and the rest had a change in expression. After all, they had followed the first prince for a longer period of time. With a single glance, they recognized the first prince, Jiao Yuntang. They also saw the red-haired, one-eyed old man. That was an existence they could not fight against, the ruler, the Red Devil God Emperor. The first prince has brought people over. Beside him is the ruler, the Red Devil God Emperor. Shan Dan transmitted to Dongbush Shuaying. With the Red Devil God Emperor here, we will be sending ourselves to death again. Protector Tsong was also feeling bitter. Dongbush Shuaying immediately understood. In the past 30 million years, he would occasionally come out to spar with the other guards and gain some information. He knew that the person His Highness Jiao Yunlu was most hostile towards was the first prince, Jiao Yunting. They are here! Before the Red Devil God Emperor makes his move, we will kill as many as we can. Let's go all out! The guards who had rushed over quickly judged the situation and knew that they had no hope of winning. All of them were filled with anger. They were venerable realm existences after all, and they had their dignity and face. They were not willing to be slaughtered just like that. They had to retaliate and kill as many as they could before the Red Devil God Emperor, who thought highly of himself, made a move. Shuaying looked at the group of enemy experts who had turned into streams of light and were brimming with killing intent. He then turned to the distant Red Devil God Emperor. His eyes were filled with expectations. It would be great if I could fight with a ruler before my cultivator Cosmos starts fighting with the ancestor mother religion. Hua! Shuaying flipped his hand, causing 6 darts to appear. After reaching the 6th level of the Void Walker body, he had only infused a small portion of the frightening strength he had into the darts. After all, he could easily pinch the 3 holy protectors to death with his current strength. Dealing against a group of paragons, he did not have to spend too much strength. He directly flung them out. The 6 darts disappeared into the mirage world. Following that, another 6 darts appeared in Dongbush Shuaying's hand. He flung them out once again. This set of darts was obtained from the protectors of the ancestor mother religion, and there were exactly 12 of them. The 12 darts flew within the mirage world. All of them contained a terrifying power. Under the control of Dongbush Shuaying, the 12 darts flew out from the mirage world at the same time, arriving in front of 12 of the enemy's protectors. Those 12 protectors did not have the time to resist. After all, Dongbush Shuaying's Tao of Mirage had long reached a bottleneck. In the cultivator cosmos, not a single paragon could sense it in advance. One could see the 12 protectors being struck by the darts in their chests. The darts penetrated through their chests before disappearing. At the moment when the darts penetrated their chests, an unseen energy filled with killing intent was transmitted into their bodies, causing every single part of their bodies to tremble. The 12 protectors were originally flying at high speed, but following that, they began to slow down due to inertia. This made the other protectors look over in bewilderment. Wah! The bodies of the protectors were like grains of sand. They began crumbling apart before being annihilated. The bodies of the 12 protectors had completely crumbled apart. One of the protectors was reborn from nothingness. He was wearing a black robe and had a stooped body. Beneath the black robe, his green eyes were staring at the distant Dongbua Shuang with terror. The entire place turned silent. Be it the protectors of Dongbua Shuang or the protectors of the Crown Prince, all of them stopped moving. Why is it him again? It's him again? I am not willing, I am not willing! His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at the golden-armored male in the distance. His body was trembling. Clearly, he was enraged to the extreme. I discovered that the Black Devil Sacred Fruit Tree has been enduring for so long just to use the fruit to break through. Why is he here again? I am not willing! His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at the group of protectors under him, and the group of his big brother who were about to fight. His heart ached. He was clear. That Red Devil God Emperor would casually kill the strongest protectors on his side. The rest of the protectors would be surrounded and killed. What should I do? What should I do? Jiao Yunlu felt anger, despair, and unwillingness. The blood in his body was boiling and his mind was about to explode. Suddenly, Jiao Yunlu was stunned. He stared blankly into the distance. The 12 darts pierced through the chests of the 12 protectors before disappearing. The protectors' bodies immediately crumbled apart. Only one of them was reborn from the void. Jiao Yunlu's gaze landed on the distant Dongbua Shuang. At this moment, the 12 darts had already appeared in front of Dongbua Shuang. With a wave of his hand, he kept the darts. Protector Dongbua? Jiao Yunlu muttered. Scared stiff. Scared stiff. Not to mention the group of enemy guards, even his companions were scared out of their wits. He had only thrown a few darts, and 11 venerable realm guards had died. Those protectors were all wearing armor, yet they were all killed in a single strike. How many protectors did the Crown Prince have? There were only slightly over 20 of them. How many times could he kill them? Brother Dongbua? Shan Dan, Protector Tsong, and the rest were also stunned. They did not dare to believe that this good-tempered companion of theirs, who had sparred with them several times, was actually so terrifying. Still not leaving? As Dongbua Shuang spoke, he did not stop and continued flying towards Jiao Yunlu. Retreat! The protectors of the Crown Prince were so frightened that they started to flee. They no longer had any thoughts of fighting. The current Dongbua Shuang was too strong. He was much stronger than Monarch Green and Pang Yi before they became sovereigns. To these paragons, this was simply a massacre. The difference is too great. No wonder Master and the rest did not allow the paragons to participate in the final battle. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. The rulers did not even care about his previous strength. Only the power of the Black Gourd was of some help. However, the current me should be sufficient, right? Dongbua Shuang glanced at the Blood Devil God Emperor before landing in front of the palace. He looked at the astonished His Highness Jiao Yunlu and greeted. Your Highness. Bodyguard Dongbua. His Highness Jiao Yunlu was truly astonished. This newly joined bodyguard Dongbua had only treated him according to his old habits. He did not think that Dongbua Shuang was too important. But today, he was completely stunned. This bodyguard Dongbua was simply unimaginable. Most likely, even if his big brother's protectors joined hands, they would still be swept away by Dongbua Shuang. Your Highness, there is no need to worry. With me around, no one will be able to harm your Highness, said Dongbua Shuang. Good, good, good. You must be careful of that Red Devil God Emperor. He is a ruler, and is extremely powerful. His Highness Jiao Yunlu was still feeling uneasy. After all, that was a ruler. Dongbua Shuang laughed. He was not confident that he could defeat a ruler, but he was confident that he could protect Dongbua Shuang. After reaching the 6th level of the Void Walker realm, his control over the void was much stronger. He could easily bring Dongbua Shuang and escape in an instant. However, he would not admit defeat so easily. What arrogant words! A cold voice came from afar. Dongbu Shuang turned his head. The golden-armored man, Jiao Yunting, who was high up in the sky, had a look of anger on his face. You are the newly recruited protector of my useless little brother? Humph, you think too highly of yourself. He looked at the Red Devil God Emperor beside him. The Red Devil God Emperor, on the other hand, had a calm look in his eyes. He even revealed a smile and said, Brat, your strength is not bad. Amongst paragons, you can be considered invincible. Right, what is your name? My name is Dongbu Shuang. Dongbu Shuang raised his head and looked at Jiao Yunlu. The Red Devil God Emperor found it interesting. I want to kill your highness and take away the Black Devil sacred fruits. Are you sure you want to fight against me? Dongbu Shuang suppressed his excitement and anticipation. After cultivating for 30 million years, he was unsure of his own strength. The final battle in his hometown caused him to look forward to fighting against the ruler. Looking at the Red Devil God Emperor in the sky, Dongbu Shuang's eyes lit up. He grinned and said, I look forward to fighting against you. I have never fought against a ruler before. Eldest Prince Jiao Yunteng, third Prince Jiao Yunlu, and the other protectors were all stunned. Even the Red Devil God Emperor was startled. He is clearly a paragon. The protectors from both sides were in a daze. His body is too powerful, so powerful that he has formed a law domain naturally. The eldest prince, Jiao Yunting, coldly stared at Shuang as he said, Those with extremely powerful bodies like the ancestor mother religion's law system or the strongest warrior's law system. In the historical records, there were some heaven-defying paragons whose bodies were too tyrannical at the paragon realm, and thus, they naturally formed a law domain. The Red Devil God Emperor looked at Dongbu Shuang. His soul eye was filled with shock and astonishment. Paragon, your body can actually form a law domain naturally. Admirable, admirable. I'm afraid that even I cannot compare to you in terms of the strength of my body. Dongbu Shuang chuckled. Actually, holy protectors from the ancestor mother religion could already release unseen ripples. That was considered a small-scale law domain. But it was different for the Void Walker system. He had cultivated it all the way to the 6th level, and his fleshy body was comparable to a religious leader from the ancestor mother religion who had just broken through. His control over the surrounding void had finally formed a law domain. His law domain was biased towards the void. But Dongbu Shuang did not feel proud. Like Temporal Island Lord and Empress Qianhe, they could not compare to the holy protectors of the ancestor mother religion in terms of fleshy bodies. But they had a huge advantage in terms of laws, making it easy for them to kill the holy protectors. Similarly, this Red Devil God Emperor in front of him might have a weaker body, but the other party did not specialize in his fleshy body. According to the intelligence provided by the third prince, the other party's strongest point was that soul eye. Red Devil God Emperor, just a law domain isn't able to affect us. Bring out your true strength. Dongbu Shuang flipped his hand, causing a silver spear to appear. I do think highly of you, and do not wish to kill you. But since you are taking the initiative to send yourself to death. The Red Devil God Emperor shook his head. He was still willing to befriend someone who could form a law domain when he was a paragon. But this time, he had to obtain the Black Devil sacred fruits, and the other party did not know when to advance or retreat. Then I have no other choice. Wing! The soul eye of the Red Devil God Emperor emitted light. His body turned illusory, and many figures of the Red Devil God Emperor appeared in his surroundings. A total of more than 100 Red Devil God Emperor appeared in all directions. They completely surrounded Dongbu Shuang. All of them were looking at Dongbu Shuang. It's starting. The Red Devil God Emperor is using his killing move. How can we fight against so many incarnations? We can't even find his true body. Also, each of his incarnations is extremely powerful. The guards from both sides and the two princes were watching nervously. It's coming. Dongbu Shuang's battle intent surged. The information provided by the Third Highness was very clear. He knew that the most powerful move of the Red Devil God Emperor was this incarnation. His true body could be switched between incarnations, and the combat prowess of the incarnations far surpassed ordinary paragons. Just the advantage in numbers was enough to cause them to feel despair. Die. Dongbu Shui Ying's figure flashed as the speed and strength of his Void Walker body erupted forth, causing the Red Devil God Emperor to feel shock in his heart. After that, he calmed himself down and sneered. For those with such powerful bodies, they would only be able to use a few moves in a battle. They are extremely stupid, and it would be easy to defeat them. See Law. Even the void was sliced apart. The silver long spear left behind numerous cracks in the surrounding space as it slashed out in all directions. Those incarnations of the Red Devil God Emperor each wielded a gigantic black saber as they surrounded Dongbu Shuiying. But ping 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 ping, the incarnations were either sliced into two by the long spear or pierced through their bodies. It was simply a one-sided slaughter. What a powerful spear art! Among the many incarnations, the Red Devil God Emperor's true body had been hiding far away from Dongbu Shuiying as he watched silently. At the same time, his expression changed. His battle isn't stupid at all. I can't even see through the profoundness of his spear art. In the laws and profound mystery system, he had reached the bottleneck of the Tao of slaughter. He was just one step away from attaining eternal perfection. How could such a level of spear art be so easily blocked? There was still hope if he used his true body to block it. But these incarnations? It was fine for the incarnations to deal with ordinary paragons, but against Dongbu Shuiying, they were still far from enough. What a pity, I have more numbers. Forget it, I'm not playing anymore. Kill him. The incarnations of the Red Devil God Emperor died one after another, but new incarnations were born. The total number of incarnations didn't decrease at all. Suddenly, all the incarnations surged forward. After all, Dongbu Shuiying only had a single spear. How could he kill all the incarnations? Pooh! Of the two incarnations that failed to defend, one of them suddenly switched to his true body. The saber light suddenly turned cold. It flashed past his body as though it was slicing through the void. Dongbu Shuiying's expression changed slightly. Pooh! Dongbu Shuiying's body was hidden within the mirage world at the crucial moment, but he was still sliced by the saber. The robe that the Third Highness had bestowed upon him was torn, and white marks were left on his skin. Pu, the many incarnations attacked frenziedly, and Dongbu Shuiying was struck time and time again. As for Dongbu Shuiying, he executed his spear art, killing the incarnations one after another. However, he couldn't even touch the true body. Every time he attacks, he immediately retreats. Dongbu Shuiying mumbled to himself. It seems like he is still far from being able to win by relying on his physical body alone. I'll let this ruler have a taste of my strongest secret art that I've perfected for 30 million years. The first chapter had arrived. The second chapter still had to be modified. Chapter 756. Hong, standing there, Dongbu Shuiying's body suddenly released countless blood ripples in all directions. These blood ripples were like the tides of the ocean, surging and surging in all directions. Those incarnations of Red Devil God Emperor that were originally attacking Dongbu Shuiying trembled and dissipated under the blood ripples. These incarnations had bodies comparable to the apex protectors of the ancestor mother religion, but under the blood ripples, they could not resist at all. The moment they were affected, they dissipated. This scene had truly shocked the Red Devil God Emperor. How is this possible? Red Devil God Emperor was so frightened that he retreated. So. He rapidly retreated. As Dongbu Shuiying stood there, the blood ripples spread out in all directions. The area it covered was continuously expanding to 1,000 kilometers, more than 5,000 kilometers, frightening the Crown Prince Jiao Yuntang and his paragons who were watching the battle from afar. They retreated even further. Shuiying temporarily retracted his attack when it was extended to a region of more than 5,000 kilometers. What technique is this? Why is it so powerful? Even the incarnations of Red Devil God Emperor were killed in an instant. Third Highness Jiao Yunlu and his protectors were all startled. Protector Shan Dan did not dare imagine that a paragon he casually roped in the past would be so terrifying. The blood ripple domain he displayed could directly sweep away the incarnations of Red Devil God Emperor. This technique was definitely at the ruler realm. His Highness Jiao Yunlu was both startled and delighted. Could it be that my luck has really turned for an existence like Dongbua to become my protector? But he did not know. With Dongbua Shui Ying's temperament, if not for the Third Highness treating his protectors with kindness, and if not for him urgently seeking other cultivation systems, he would not have agreed to become his protector so easily. Why would he agree to become his protector so easily? Dongbua Shui Ying stood high in the sky, looking at Red Devil God Emperor who was hiding behind the blood ripples with a hint of fear. Why, Red Devil God Emperor, are you afraid? You don't even dare to enter my domain technique? Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. If you're afraid, then you won't be able to obtain the Black Demon Saint fruits. In the distance, First Prince Jiao Yunting became anxious. That was right. If he did not defeat this terrifying bodyguard Dongbo who came out of nowhere, how would he be able to snatch the Black Demon Holy Fruit from his little brother? Red Devil God Emperor. The First Prince Jiao Yunting also looked at the Red Devil God Emperor. Red Devil God Emperor stared at Dongbua Shui Ying with his single eye. His dignity as a hegemon wouldn't allow him to back down. I don't believe that a venerable's domain can kill me. The Red Devil God Emperor calmly flew towards the Crimson Domain. As he approached, his hand naturally touched the Crimson Domain first. Who? The Crimson Domain suddenly expanded, enveloping the Red Devil God Emperor. The Red Devil God Emperor's expression changed slightly. He glanced at the distant Dongbua Shui Ying, who had a smile that wasn't a smile on his face. However, he didn't say anything. He could feel the formless blood-colored ripples destroying his law domain. The ripples were seeping into his body, affecting it. Moreover, countless blood-colored ripples were constantly wrapping around him. The strangest thing was that no matter how the Red Devil God Emperor moved or flew, the strength of the binding would only increase as time passed. The injuries on his body would also gradually worsen. This is... The Red Devil God Emperor immediately thought of an absolute art that he had once seen in another cultivation system. Slaughter domain? The Red Devil God Emperor stared at the distant Dongbua Shui Ying in shock. It can't be considered as such. It can't compare to the might of the true slaughter domain. Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. What? Slaughter domain? The Cosmos Emissary Cultivation System's slaughter domain? The distant two princes and some paragons all felt a chill in their hearts. In the Cosmos Emissary Cultivation System, when one reached the ruler realm, one's every action would be able to draw upon the universe's origin energy. Among them, there was a legend in the slaughter lineage, the legend of the slaughter domain. According to their cultivation system, one had to reach the ruler realm and be able to draw upon the universe's origin energy. Only then would one be able to form the slaughter domain. Within the slaughter domain, the enemy would die the moment they entered. Even extremely powerful enemies could barely survive. But the moment they entered, they would be injured, and their injuries would only worsen. At the same time, they would be restricted by the slaughter domain, and the restrictions would also increase. Moreover, within the slaughter domain, the combat strength of the existence that controlled the slaughter domain would also increase. In theory, no matter how powerful a ruler was, they would still die without a doubt. Naturally, this was only in theory. Because within the Devil Mountain cosmos, no one would be able to control the universe's origin energy. How could he have cultivated the slaughter domain? Our cosmos was created by our primogenitor. The universe's origin energy cannot be controlled. The two princes felt disbelief. The guards were also somewhat dazed. But Dongbua Shui Ying himself was very clear on this. Back then, he had discovered that the slaughter lineage of the Cosmos Emissary Cultivation System was of great help to him. Thus, he had asked the princes to help him collect this type of absolute arts. He had continuously researched it, causing his understanding of the Tao of slaughter to deepen. However, during this process of research, Dongwu Shuiying had also analyzed these absolute arts from the perspective of laws and profound mysteries. He discovered that these absolute arts also contained other Taos, such as the Tao of ripples, the Tao of flames, the Tao of destruction, and so on. Clearly, within the cosmos emissary cultivation system, everything that was beneficial to slaughter was fused together. It was unlike Dongwu Shuiying's hometown, which had such a detailed division of laws and profound mysteries. Dongwu Shuiying discovered that the slaughter domain was actually formed from the Tao of slaughter and the Tao of ripples. The Tao of ripples was used a lot in the cosmos emissary cultivation system. Because he had researched so many absolute arts, he had gradually accumulated experience in the Tao of ripples. In the 10 million years he had spent in his hometown cosmos, he had opened up the Tao of mirage and Tao of slaughter. And in these 30 million years, Dongwu Shuiying had also opened up his third Tao, the Tao of ripples. He had also raised his Tao of ripples to the peak, and he was very close to the bottleneck. The Tao of slaughter and the Tao of ripples were fused together. He used the laws and profound mysteries system to research the slaughter domain and reconstructed it to perfection. After a long period of time, Dongwu Shuiying had finally created his strongest secret technique in the past 30 million years, the slaughter domain. Although it was not as good as the original version, Dongwu Shuiying believed that this was because his two Taos had yet to reach eternity. The moment they reached eternity, his slaughter domain would undergo a qualitative change. The reason why the cosmos emissary cultivation system's slaughter domain was so strong was because it could mobilize the cosmos origin energy. And his slaughter domain mainly relied on the laws. The stronger the laws, the stronger it would be. In the slaughter domain, I'm much stronger than before. Dongwu Shuiying smiled. He held his spear with one hand and casually waved it with his right. Che. Poke. Sweep. Point. Draw and tangle. He casually executed this technique, but through the resonance of the slaughter domain's ripples, it formed an attack around the Red Devil God Emperor. One attack after another seemed to be executed at close range. It was strange and unpredictable. I don't believe it. I don't believe that a ruler like you only has this much power. Bring out even more power, Dongwu Shuiying said coldly. Defeating this ruler wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was to use this battle to test his own strength. If you don't bring out even more power, you're going to lose. Dongwu Shuiying's voice reverberated. In the distance, the two princes and the guards were all dumbfounded. A paragon actually dared to be so arrogant? Not only did he have the upper hand, but he still wanted his opponent to bring out even more power? Wasn't this too arrogant? Very good, very good. The Red Devil God Emperor was enraged as well. He growled, I only came to the Devil Mountain Cosmos to cultivate. I didn't expect that you would actually force me to bring out my strongest power. Very good, very good. His single eye suddenly turned snow-white. Hong! A vast expanse of whiteness. A bone-chilling cold instantly spread out. Even some of the arrays in the surroundings started to freeze and shatter. His Highness Jiao Yunlu and the rest, who were hiding in the palace, hurriedly looked carefully. They saw that the blood-colored massacre domain was still churning. However, the degree of churning was clearly lower. It was being suppressed. Dongwu Shuiying's body seemed both real and illusory. He could still feel the terrifying cold seeping into his mirage world and into his body. It seems like it isn't easy to defeat a ruler. Dongwu Shuiying looked at the distant Red Devil God Emperor. At this moment, the Red Devil God Emperor's body was covered with a layer of white armor. His aura had also become much stronger. The last time I used my strongest power was when the Devil Mountain Cosmos conquered our hometown. The Red Devil God Emperor roared. Since a paragon like you wants to die, I'll send you to your death. The Red Devil God Emperor was truly enraged. Dongwu Shuiying's lips curled up slightly. Chapter 757. The surrounding was filled with a bone-chilling cold. A portion of the spirit designs had been frozen to the point of shattering. There were even many places on this planet where snowflakes had started to drift down. The first Prince Jiao Yunteng, Cha Yun-nong, and the other protectors were watching nervously from afar. Fortunately, the Red Devil God Emperor had intentionally controlled the cold to avoid them. They were only slightly affected by the cold, but they were still shivering. The main target, Dongwu Shuang, revealed a smile. He looked at the berserk Red Devil God Emperor and said, "Perhaps I will be the one to send you to your death." Ha! Boom! The furious Red Devil God Emperor, who was wearing a white armor and wielding a giant saber, instantly pounced towards Dongwu Shuang. Dongwu Shuang stood there as blood-colored waves surged around him. However, this was ultimately not the original slaughter domain. It was merely a reference, a secret skill that relied on the fusion of the Tao of Slaughter and Tao of Ripple. These two Taos had not reached the perfect eternal stage. Thus, the slaughter domain was suppressed by the endless coldness, causing its might to be greatly reduced. However, Dongwu Shuang was still standing there as he wielded his silver spear. He smiled as he watched the Red Devil God Emperor charge towards him. The giant saber was as fast as lightning. Its might was even stronger than before. Hua! Dongwu Shuang spun the spear in his hand and blocked the giant saber's blade mysteriously. The terrifying strength within his body allowed him to not take a single step back. Instead, it was the Red Devil God Emperor who was forced to retreat explosively. "My speed has slowed down?" Dongwu Shuang frowned. The surrounding space was filled with formless cold qi. This cold qi was able to suppress the slaughter domain. At the same time, Dongwu Shuang's every movement was hindered and slowed down. "I admit that you are very strong. However, you are still not strong enough to challenge a ruler." The Red Devil God Emperor's voice reverberated throughout the world. At the same time, his figure turned into a specter as he attacked Dongwu Shuang from all directions. When he executed his ultimate move, his might and speed had greatly increased. However, Dongwu Shuang was affected. For a moment, he was at a disadvantage in terms of speed. Relying on his spear, his defense was impeccable. "His body is actually not affected at all." Red Devil God Emperor was frantically attacking, yet he was feeling anxious in his heart. Based on his experience, most ordinary rulers would be heavily injured when facing such a cold. Furthermore, the recovery of their injuries would be slow, and as time passed, their life force would be depleted, and they might even die. Furthermore, his life would be exhausted. Dongwu Shuang. Yet, Dongwu Shuang of his body. What he didn't know was that the combination of the Tao of Mirage and the Void Walker lineage allowed Dongwu Shuang's survivability to not lose out to Monarch Hex Cricket. Although he was a paragon now, his survivability would cause even rulers who weren't proficient in it to feel envious. Who? When the Red Devil God Emperor attacked once more, Dongwu Shuang, who was standing there, vanished. He disappeared? The Red Devil God Emperor's expression changed. He hurriedly looked at his surroundings. His single eye erupted with boundless coldness, yet he couldn't sense anything. "Even I can't sense anything?" The Red Devil God Emperor's surroundings started to emit a faint light. This was his law domain. The radius of the law domain was very small, but its senses were extremely strong. "It's here!" The Red Devil God Emperor's expression changed. He discovered it. But by the time he discovered it, Dongwu Shuang's spear had already arrived in front of him. Pooh! The tip of the spear was surrounded by ripples. These ripples seemed to be able to tear everything apart. The Red Devil God Emperor didn't even have time to defend. The spear tip pierced into his chest. Ka! The white armor on the Red Devil God Emperor's body was only slightly damaged. The spear tip didn't manage to pierce through it. Dongwu Shuang instantly retracted his spear and vanished once more. Where did he go? The Red Devil God Emperor searched in all directions. He was feeling anxious and shocked in his heart. This paragon's concealment techniques were too powerful. Other than his law domain, he was unable to detect his enemies. However, the radius of his law domain was too small. It could only cover a distance of 1,000 meters. 1,000 meters was simply too short for experts of their level. The Third Highness Jiao Yun Lu and the others, as well as the First Highness Jiao Yun Teng and the others, were all extremely nervous and shocked. They didn't expect that the battle would progress to such a stage. The Red Devil God Emperor had unleashed an ultimate technique that none of them knew of. A terrifying coldness enveloped the entire area. Not only could it attack his enemies, it could also suppress them. Furthermore, the Red Devil God Emperor's strength rapidly rose. Even his defense became extremely powerful because of that layer of white ice armor. However, that mysterious Dongbua guard had actually vanished without a trace. Time and time again, he launched sneak attacks. Even a ruler would find it hard to detect him. If he were to launch a sneak attack on us, would we still be alive? The spectating guards muttered. Sneak attack? Does he even need to sneak attack to kill us? These guards were completely shocked. Some of them even felt admiration and worship for Dongbua. Within the Mirage world, Dongbua Shuang frowned. At the same time, he executed two movement techniques. One was the Mirage world, and the other was the void evasion. Just like the Mirage world, time and space would be much faster. This was because the Mirage world was under his control. Using the void evasion in the Mirage world would make his concealment even more formidable. One was a nomological concealment technique, while the other was a technique that the Void Walkers specialized in. These two techniques could be used together perfectly. This caused the mighty ruler, the Red Devil God Emperor, to be unable to detect Dongbua Shuang at all, other than relying on his nomological domain to sense him. A nameless ruler! Even the ruler who is the First Highness's bodyguard is actually so hard to defeat. Dongbua Shuang shook his head. Let's try using the termination energy. If I can't even break through his defenses, then I won't be able to win. Termination energy. This was one of the three great techniques of the Void Walkers. The three great techniques were the body, the void evasion, and the termination energy. The termination energy was formed when one absorbed the primordial void energy into one's body. One would then refine some of the extremely destructive energy that one's body could not absorb. Finally, one would be able to condense a special energy with an extremely offensive nature. This energy was known as the termination energy. Termination energy. Dongbua Shuang grabbed the silver spear. Suddenly, a black light appeared in his palm and spread along the spear shaft. Very soon, the entire silver spear shaft was covered in a layer of black light. Even the tip of the spear was covered in a layer of black light. Even the tip of the spear was covered in a layer of black light. Kill! The spear revolved like a dragon, bringing with it a terrifying killing intent as it directly entered the real world from the Mirage world. It pierced through the nomological domain and pierced towards the Red Devil God Emperor. The speed of the spear was simply too fast. By hiding within the Mirage world, the effects of the cold energy were much lower. The effects on one's speed were almost negligible. Pooh! The Red Devil God Emperor turned his head and saw a spear appearing in front of him. However, there was something strange about this spear. Other than the blood-colored ripples on the tip of the spear, there was actually a layer of black light covering it. Even the spear's shaft was covered in a layer of black light. Chapter 758. What is this? The Red Devil God Emperor had never seen it before, but he instinctively felt threatened. However, he was unable to block it in time. The tip of the spear pierced the white ice armor on his shoulder. This time, the terrifying sharpness forcefully penetrated the white ice armor and pierced into his body. The termination energy on the tip of the spear instantly exploded, and the killing undulations were transmitted to the Red Devil God Emperor's entire body. The Red Devil God Emperor's face suddenly turned red. He immediately controlled the cold ice power to freeze his body, trying his best to protect his body and expel the terrifying termination energy and the killing undulations. The Eastern European Snow Eagle immediately retracted his spear and prepared to stab a second time. The Red Devil God Emperor's face turned pale. Although he had used the cold ice power to protect more than half of his life force, he had still lost nearly 30% of it. Although he would protect himself more carefully in the future, he estimated that he would die in 8 to 10 spears. He had lost. Red Devil God Emperor understood this point. Even though he still had some small tricks up his sleeves, against Shuang, who was hiding so well that it was hard to detect him, and against this frightening spear technique, he knew he would definitely lose. I never thought that I, the Red Devil God Emperor, would lose to a paragon one day. Ha! The Red Devil God Emperor laughed out loud. His single eye returned to normal, and the coldness started to recede. However, at the same time, many incarnations appeared around him. His main body also disappeared into thin air and hid among the incarnations. The incarnations fled in all directions. Escape? Donghua Shuang appeared. The surroundings suddenly erupted with a blood-colored wave. The slaughter domain surged in all directions. This time, the speed at which it spread was clearly much faster. However, the Red Devil God Emperor was clearly going all out. One by one, the incarnations quickly fled. Boom! The surging blood-colored wave instantly arrived in front of the First Highness Jiao Yuntang. Jiao Yuntang's expression changed greatly as he looked at the incoming blood-colored wave. He was very clear that he would not be able to withstand the power of the slaughter domain. Don't kill him! Capture him alive! The Third Highness Jiao Yunlu shouted. With this shout, the blood-colored wave that had rushed in front of the First Highness immediately split apart, avoiding the First Highness and continuing to chase after the clones. However, the speed of the clones was too fast, and the range of the planetary matrix was too small. A portion of the Red Devil God Emperor's clones were drowned by the slaughter domain, but a large number of them still rushed out. Once they rushed out of the range of the planetary matrix, the Red Devil God Emperor disappeared without a trace. He did not think of saving the First Highness. After all, he did not have any hope in that situation. If he insisted on saving the First Highness, he was afraid that he would really lose his life. Although it was only a clone, the Red Devil God Emperor did not want to die. Being defeated by a venerable was completely different from being killed by a venerable. The Red Devil God Emperor still hoped to save some face. Who? Far away in the starry sky, the Red Devil God Emperor appeared. He looked back and heaved a sigh of relief. He felt a little helpless and sighed. How embarrassing! My hometown cosmos has been conquered! After coming to this Devil Mountain cosmos, I wanted to go to the primogenitor Devil Mountain, yet I was crushed and killed. For the sake of cultivation resources, I decided to rely on the First Highness of a Void God clan. Who would have thought that I would be defeated by a paragon? The Red Devil God Emperor shook his head. Even though he did not save the First Highness, he did not care at all. After all, it was the First Highness who begged him. He was a ruler. If he really wanted to rely on the First Highness, the 3 Void God clans, as long as they had not become rulers, would most likely yearn for it. But for a ruler to be the protector of a paragon, it was quite embarrassing. I've really lost a lot of face this time. Such a huge matter has been witnessed by the 2 Highnesses and so many protectors. It will likely spread across the entire Devil Mountain cosmos very soon. There are also experts from other cosmos. He, Donghua Shuang, became famous by stepping on me. The Red Devil God Emperor felt slightly sorrowful, but he accepted it wholeheartedly. Because Donghua Shuang had been provoking him in the previous battle, forcing him to unleash his strongest power. He had nothing to say about being defeated under the condition of unleashing his strongest power. The blood wave surged, surrounding the First Highness Jiao Yuntang and his protectors. Donghua Shuang. The First Highness squeezed out a smile and said, You relied on my little brother just for some benefits, right? Whatever he gave you, I can give you even more. It's too late, Donghua Shuang said. In the past, he needed an opportunity to interact with other cultivation systems of laws. Now that he had obtained what he wanted, all he needed now was to cultivate in seclusion. Protector Donghua. His Highness Jiao Yunlu, Shan Dan, Protector Tsong, and the other protectors rapidly flew over through the passageway created by the blood wave. These protectors looked at Dongwu Shuiying with slight shock and admiration. It was just like how most paragons in the cultivator cosmos looked at Monarch Green. In fact, Dongwu Shuiying was even more exaggerated. After all, he currently had 3 Daos, and 2 of them had reached the bottleneck. His Tao of Ripple had also reached the apex. More importantly, he had the extremely powerful Voidwalker lineage. All of these allowed him to become even stronger than Monarch Green. Your Highness, Dongwu Shuiying said, who should be killed and who should remain? Kill the other protectors, but leave my big brother and Cha Yun Nong behind. His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at Dongwu Shuiying and said, Protector Dongwu, if you have any thoughts, feel free to speak. Dongwu Shuiying did not say anything. The surrounding blood-colored waves rippled slightly, enveloping the protectors. Shuiying did not have any enmity with them, but the battle between the 2 princes had lasted for a long time, and the protectors of the 3rd prince had died many times. If not for Shui Ying's intervention, they would have been slaughtered as well. Dongwu Shuiying naturally would not act pretentiously. After all, it was just a clone. At most, the other party would lose some treasures. With just a ripple from the slaughter domain, the other protectors were all killed. Only Cha Yun Nong and the First Highness, Jiao Yuntang, were left. Jiao Yuntang, my elder brother, did you think that such a day would come? The Third Highness Jiao Yunlu's body was trembling. The First Highness Jiao Yuntang did not look at his younger brother. Instead, he looked at Dongwu Shuiying and asked, What did my younger brother give you? Other cultivation techniques and some absolute arts. Dongwu Shuiying replied. Just these? The First Highness was in disbelief. The Devil Mountain cosmos was very tolerant. Imparting cultivation techniques was very easy. Absolute arts were relatively precious, but to the First Highness and Third Highness, they were nothing much. A spear, armor, and a battleship, Dongwu Shuiying said. The First Highness was speechless. It was normal for a highness to have protectors. That's all? The First Highness looked at Dongwu Shuiying before looking at the Third Highness Jiao Yunlu. My younger brother, your luck is truly good. I can give you 10 times or even 100 times more. Are you willing to be my protector? The First Highness looked at Dongwu Shuiying. I can do it too, the Third Highness shouted. The Third Highness was somewhat nervous. After receiving benefits from others, I will do things for them. After speaking, Dongwu Shuiying didn't say anything else. In Dongwu Shuiying's bones, he was a person who would take revenge for enmity and repay kindness with kindness. In these 30 million years, the Third Highness had helped him a lot, and he was indebted to him. If there was a favor, he would naturally repay it. The First Highness Jiao Yuntang knew that it was useless to persuade Qin Wentian. Such a heaven-defying paragon would naturally have his own pride. Jiao Yuntang spoke. My younger brother has the Black Devil Sacred Fruit. The Black Devil Sacred Fruit might not be of much use to other cultivation systems, but to our bloodline cultivation system, it is a supreme treasure. Why don't you kill my younger brother and snatch the Black Devil's Sacred Fruit? The benefits that the Black Devil's Sacred Fruit can be exchanged for is beyond your imagination. Jiao Yuntum looked at the pale-faced Third Highness Jiao Yunlu. Younger brother, it is still uncertain who will win. Black Devil's Sacred Fruit? If I can't get it, don't even think of getting it. Pun! Jiao Yuntang's body suddenly exploded. However, the surging blood waves immediately drowned him. The shockwaves from the explosion were easily extinguished by the slaughter domain. However, the surroundings were silent. Shan Dan, Protector Tsong and the rest were all looking at the Third Highness and Dongwu Shuiying. Black Devil's Sacred Fruit? There is still Cha Yunno. Your Highness, you should deal with him yourself. Dongwu Shuiying spoke. With a thought, the boundless blood waves dissipated. After all, there was only Cha Yunno left. The Third Highness and the group of protectors could easily kill him. Protector Dongwu? Brother Dongwu? His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at Dongwu Shuiying. He couldn't help but rejoice. Your Highness. At this moment, Cha Yunong hurriedly shouted. Jiao Yunlu's expression changed. He turned his head and revealed an expression of anger. You still have the face to call me? I actually trusted you for so long. I must have been blind in the past. Kill him for me. Immediately, the group of protectors looked at Cha Yunong with killing intent. Jiao Yunlu brought Dongbo Shuang into the palace. The two of them sat down in a hall, and the female attendants served them wine. There was still snow outside. It was formed from the boundless frost chi that the Red Devil God Emperor had unleashed. Jiao Yunlu personally poured wine for Dongbo Shuang and smiled. I didn't expect that I, Jiao Yunlu, would be so fortunate to have Brother Dongbo as my protector. From today onwards, Brother Dongbo is no longer my protector. Instead, he is my brother. If you think highly of me, come, drink this cup of wine. He personally placed a cup of wine in front of Dongbo Shuang. Dongbo Shuang raised his cup and said, Thank you, Your Highness. The two of them raised their cups and drank at the same time. Ha! Jiao Yunlu was in an extremely good mood. Brother Dongbo was able to defeat the Red Devil God Emperor. It is truly impressive for a paragon to defeat a ruler. I believe this news will soon spread across the entire Devil Mountain cosmos and the surrounding cosmoses. Once this news spreads, I'm afraid some things will happen. Some things? Dongbo Shuang revealed a look of astonishment. I hope Your Highness can guide me. After chatting with his protectors for so many years, he had a deep understanding of the Devil Mountain cosmos. He also understood what it meant for him to defeat the Red Devil God Emperor. Of course, his understanding was definitely not as deep as the Third Highness. Furthermore, revealing his strength was also part of his plan. His master, Bloodblade, had already discussed this with him. Snow Eagle, if you are forced to, you can reveal our cultivation system to the Devil Mountain cosmos. The laws and profound mystery system is not a big secret in the boundless primal chaos void. Our cultivation system emphasizes on comprehension. It is not a big deal if this gets out. Without the guidance of a senior, it will be very difficult to cultivate. Your mission is to collect everything that can help our cosmos. Regardless of cultivation system, techniques, or anything else. Dongbo Shuang had made ample preparations. With his current cultivation realm, he had already learned the doppelganger technique that Bloodblade had bestowed upon him. Currently, he had another doppelganger in the Devil Mountain cosmos. After all, the time flow here was 3,000 times faster than normal. Cultivating here would be extremely beneficial. You might have heard about it from the other protectors. However, they don't know much. His Highness Jiao Yunlu poured himself a cup of wine and said with a pleased tone, Listen to me carefully. Chapter 759. Brother Dongbo, my Devil Mountain cosmos treats all foreign races equally. We do not discriminate against them. His Highness Jiao Yunlu smiled. Why do you think so? Oh? Dongbo Shuang listened carefully. This is the primogenitor's order. Even we, the bloodline descendants, do not dare to disobey. Jiao Yunlu lowered his voice and said, You should have heard that our bloodline cultivation system is because the countless lifeforms in our cosmos all originate from the same primogenitor. The primogenitor possesses unfathomably invincible power. In the future, when this cosmos epoch ends and we leave this cosmos, we will also join the primogenitor. Shuang was originally drinking slowly, but at this moment, he could not help but stop. Let me tell you a secret. Jiao Yunlu's voice became even lower. My clan's ancestor is in the 7-star oceanic sacred world. The 7-star oceanic sacred world was created by my clan's ancestor and another existence of the same level. Dongbo Shuiying's eyes narrowed in shock. 7-star oceanic sacred world? Isn't that where forefather Tian Yu and the owner of Lake Heart Island are? In the end, the cultivators of his own universe would have to go to the 7-star oceanic sacred world to seek refuge with the old ancestor. The 7-star oceanic sacred world was actually created by the Devil Mountain cosmos primogenitor and another existence? In the 7-star oceanic sacred world, my clan's ancestor has an extremely high status. His Highness Jiao Yunlu said. There are countless who are willing to submit to the primogenitor. The primogenitor also treats the life forms of other cosmoses equally. Thus, Brother Dongbo, since you are so powerful, even if there are no void gods in your hometown, you should be able to survive. Our demon mountain cosmos has it. You can bring your people and follow us to the 7-star oceanic sacred world. However, the flow of time in our universe is very fast. When a universe epoch ends, only a relatively short period of time might have passed in other universes. Dongbo Shuang nodded. The difference in the flow of time is huge. Ha ha ha, it's also because the primogenitor wants to give birth to more descendants, His Highness Jiao Yunlu said. Dongbo Shuang sighed in his heart. This demon mountain cosmos really had a huge backer. In the future, when he went over to Forefather Tian Yu and the Lake Heart Island Master, he would be in the same sacred world as the experts of the Devil Mountain cosmos. He had to build a good relationship with them, as the other party might be even stronger than Forefather Tian Yu. It's easy for our Devil Mountain cosmos to connect to other cosmos and form universe passageways, His Highness Jiao Yunlu said. By allowing different cultivation systems to clash, it will be more beneficial to our cultivation. But the collision of different systems, the flow of time far exceeds that of other universes. Other than these, the primogenitor also left behind the primogenitor Devil Mountain. His Highness Jiao Yunlu said. He's here. Dongbo Shuiying's heart skipped a beat. Even if the Red Fiend God Emperor did not come to kill him, he would wait until his cultivation was stronger. His original plan was to wait until his walker's hidden secret reached the 9th or 10th level before finding an opportunity to reveal his strength. Revealing it in advance wasn't a big deal. Coupled with his advantage in the laws and profound mysteries, he had some confidence. After coming to the Devil Mountain cosmos, other than the fact that he could increase the flow of time by 3,000 times, the other important thing was the legendary primogenitor Devil Mountain. As he chatted with those protectors, he naturally heard about the legendary primogenitor Devil Mountain. Dongbo Shuang had long mentioned it to his teacher, Blood Blade. Naturally, he had some thoughts about the primogenitor Devil Mountain. The primogenitor Devil Mountain was left behind by the primogenitor. It is an extremely unique cultivation ground, Jiao Yunlu said. Cultivating there will allow your strength to grow even faster. You will understand once you go. I have never truly experienced it before. Saying this, Jiao Yunlu's eyes were filled with desire. Being the son of a void god, he similarly desired to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain. But nobody dared to violate the rules set by the primogenitor. The primogenitor Devil Mountain is extremely mysterious. As for how mysterious it is, only those who enter it will know. It is split into a core layer, inner layer, and outer layer. The primogenitor has set a rule, that only the strongest ruler, and those who have reached the void god realm can enter the core layer. His Highness Jiao Yunlu said. There is only a single ruler who can enter, and he is also the strongest. I'm afraid my chances are slim in this lifetime. According to hearsay, there are only 9 array cores in the inner layer. Every array core has a cavern dwelling, and only one person can enter. The primogenitor has set a rule that only the strongest paragon, and 8 rulers can enter the inner layer. The outer layer has 32 array bases and 32 cavern dwellings. The primogenitor has ordered that only 30 rulers and 2 paragons can enter. Jiao Yunlu helplessly said. Thus, only 39 rulers, 3 paragons, and void gods can enter the entire primogenitor Devil Mountain. And our Devil Mountain cosmos has more than 200 rulers. There are also more than 100 rulers from other cosmoses. How difficult is it to enter the top 39? Jiao Yunlu shook his head. Dongbo Shuang sighed. It was indeed difficult. There were too many rulers in the Devil Mountain cosmos. Including the other cosmoses, there were more than 300 rulers. The probability of entering the primogenitor Devil Mountain was about 10%. How many paragons are there? Dongbo Shuang asked. Our Devil Mountain cosmos has more than 1,000 paragons. The other cosmoses have a few hundred paragons too. Ultimately, only 3 can enter. Jiao Yunlu sighed. Of these 3 paragons, 2 are from other races. Only one is from our Devil Mountain cosmos. Jiao Yunlu's eyes brightened. He looked at Dongbua Shuang. Brother Dongbua, the reason why I'm telling you this is because even though the 3 paragons who entered the primogenitor Devil Mountain are extremely terrifying, only the top 2 have defeated rulers. The 3rd paragon can only fight to a draw with a ruler. You can defeat the Red Devil God Emperor, Jiao Yunlu said. Even though the Red Devil God Emperor isn't some formidable God Emperor and isn't qualified to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain, he isn't weak. Since you can defeat him, you can definitely challenge the paragons within the primogenitor Devil Mountain. By then, entering the primogenitor Devil Mountain, TSK, I want to enter even in my dreams. The greatest glory for every cultivator from the Devil Mountain cosmos is to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Dongbua Shuang nodded. It wouldn't be easy to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain. This was because there were already 3 paragons inside. If he wanted to enter, he would have to defeat one of them. One must know that. Of the 3 present, 2 had defeated hegemons in the past. For example, Monarch Green and Pang Yi from the Cultivator Cosmos. Monarch Green had never defeated a ruler when he was a paragon. At most, he could fight to a draw with a ruler. As for Pang Yi, even though he had defeated a ruler when he was a paragon, that was a ruler who had concealed his strength. From this point of view, it would be extremely difficult for a paragon to defeat a ruler. These were the 3 most heaven-defying paragons from the Devil Mountain cosmos and the other cosmoses. They had comprehended many different cultivation systems and were chosen to become paragons. Furthermore, they had cultivated in the primogenitor Devil Mountain for a very long time. Their strength was unfathomable. Dongbua Shuang didn't have enough confidence. Originally, he wanted to cultivate the Walker's hidden treasure to a higher level before entering. Who knew that the Red Devil God Emperor would appear? Let's give it a try. Even if we fail, we can always try again in the future. Dongbua Shuang had no intentions of retreating. After all, the war in his hometown could erupt at any time. The earlier he entered the primogenitor Devil Mountain, the better. His Highness Jiao Yunlu continued to speak. Actually, he didn't know much. After all, his strength was still far from being able to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain. All right, I've told you everything I know. Brother Dongbua, I won't be accompanying you any longer. Hurry up and cultivate. His Highness Jiao Yunlu stood up and sighed. This time, the Black Devil sacred fruits were all protected by Brother Dongbua. I owe you a huge favor. Protecting your Highness is what I should do. Dongbua Shuang also stood up. No. If you had rebelled or snatched the Black Devil sacred fruits from me, I wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. His Highness Jiao Yunlu said. I will remember this favor. Now, I will go into seclusion to cultivate. Go. There's no need to care about me. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. He knew that Jiao Yunlu had long since wanted to cultivate. Jiao Yunlu chuckled. He immediately left and entered closed-door cultivation. Dongbua Shuang's eyes narrowed. He muttered in a low voice. Primogenitor Devil Mountain. Cultivator Cosmos, within the small courtyard of the Bloodshed God Palace. A white-robed teenager appeared. He was none other than the incarnation of Dongbua Shuang. Teacher. Dongbua Shuang looked at Bloodblade, who had just walked out. Snow Eagle? Bloodblade asked. Is there any news? I might be heading to the primogenitor Devil Mountain soon. Dongbua Shuang said. Teacher, I'll definitely do my best to accomplish what you've asked me to do. Does teacher have any other instructions? Asterisk. Chapter 760. Just the 2 things I mentioned previously, the catalog and the blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect. Bloodblade said. These are things we urgently need. It will be great if you can complete one of them. If you can complete both of them, then we will definitely win this war. I understand. Dongbua Shuang nodded. His teacher and the others urgently needed these 2 precious items. He had asked Third Highness Jiao Yunlu previously, but Jiao Yunlu had never heard of them. Clearly, they had to find more formidable existences. The Devil Mountain cosmos had a huge influence, and there were many rulers. The treasures that Blood Blade and the others could not find could be found in the Devil Mountain cosmos. Then this disciple will take his leave, Dongbu Shuang said. You must be careful. We have the upper hand in the war against the ancestor mother religion. Working hard now will only increase our chances of victory. You must not risk your life, Bloodblade reminded. Even though you have avatars and seem safe, the techniques of void gods are beyond your imagination. But the techniques of void gods are beyond your imagination. Furthermore, that primogenitor Devil Mountain has an extraordinary origin, and you have to follow their rules. I understand. Dongbu Shuang chuckled. He then bade farewell to his teacher and left. Seeing the incarnation of Dongbu Shuang dissipate, Bloodblade's eyes were filled with anticipation. The two things he asked Dongbu Shuang to do were extremely important. Snow Eagle mentioned before that it is hard to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain. He is confident? Bloodblade thought, unless that Third Highness is helping him? His understanding of the primogenitor Devil Mountain came from Dongbu Shuang. Naturally, he knew even less. He did not understand how hard it was to enter. Dongbu Shuang was not in a rush to leave. Instead, he continued staying on that planet. His Highness Jiao Yunlu had mentioned that he would personally send Dongbu Shuang over after he finished his cultivation. As a foreign race, it was better for him to wait for His Highness Jiao Yunlu to send him over. He could also use this time to reflect on his battle with Red Devil God Emperor and learn from it. Hua hua hua! Heavy rain poured down, covering the world with a curtain of rain. Ha ha ha! Laughter suddenly rang out, echoing throughout the entire planet. At the same time, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted. All the guards sensed the terrifying aura, and Dongbu Shuang came out as well. All of them looked at His Highness' palace from afar. A figure could be seen floating in the air above the palace. It was His Highness Jiao Yunlu, who wore a scarlet-scaled armor. Red chi waves were surging from his body, and his terrifying aura soared into the sky, causing the entire planet to tremble. Fortunately, there was a spirit formation protecting the planet, or else the entire planet would have been destroyed. Congratulations, Your Highness! Congratulations, Your Highness! Immediately, a guard shouted. The other guards also hurried over. He became a sovereign? Dongbu Shuang was also somewhat astonished. Although it was very difficult to become a sovereign through the bloodline cultivation system, it was still relatively easier than the laws and mysteries system. At the very least, with the help of the Black Devil Sacred Fruit, His Highness Jiao Yunlu's chances of awakening his bloodline had greatly increased. Now, he had even successfully become a sovereign. How difficult was it to become a sovereign through the laws and mysteries system? His Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter had already reached a bottleneck, but he still had no idea how to achieve perfect eternity. Although he was deeply moved, Dongbu Shuang still flew over and bowed to the excited His Highness Jiao Yunlu. Congratulations, Your Highness, on becoming a sovereign. Ha! His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at Dongbu Shuang. His attitude towards the other guards had naturally changed. After all, the difference between a sovereign and a paragon was too great. However, Jiao Yunlu was still rather courteous towards Dongbu Shuang. This was because he felt that since this guard Dongbu was so monstrous, it would definitely not be a problem for him to become a sovereign. After becoming a sovereign, he would definitely be an incredible existence amongst the sovereigns. In the future, when Jiao Yunlu headed to the 7-star oceanic sacred world, he would definitely have to interact with him. Brother Dongbu, it's all thanks to you. If I didn't have the Black Devil Sacred Fruit, I really don't know when I would be able to break through. His Highness Jiao Yunlu sighed. The Black Devil Sacred Fruit is an external object. If you want to break through, other than external objects, you also need to rely on yourself. Dongbu Shuang said. Since Your Highness was able to break through, you must have accumulated a lot of experience. Jiao Yunlu laughed. That's right. He had been stifled for too long. For the sake of breaking through, he had tried to cultivate other systems. He had spent a lot of effort and accumulated a lot of experience. Now, he had finally broken through. The difference in their levels of life was completely different. Previously, Dongbua Shuang could kill the Third Highness with ease. But now, if they really fought, it was hard to say if Dongbua Shuang would be able to defeat the Third Highness. Being able to defeat the Red Devil God Emperor did not mean that he could defeat the Third Highness, who had become a sovereign. I've said it before. After I go into seclusion, I will personally send you to the Primogenitor Devil Mountain. His Highness Jiao Yunlu laughed. Dongbua Shuang, your strength is sufficient to go to the Primogenitor Devil Mountain and compete with the other 3 paragons. Are you willing to go? Of course I'm willing. Dongbua Shuang replied. All right, let's go. After Great Emperor Jiao Yun finished speaking, he brought Dongbua Shuang and Third Highness Jiao Yunlu with him. With a swoosh, they disappeared without a trace. The other guards heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, they were filled with excitement and shock. They had finally met a great emperor in their lives. Chapter 761. In just an instant, Dongbua Shuang and the Third Highness arrived at the Primogenitor Devil Mountain under the lead of Great Emperor Jiao Yun. We're here. Third Highness Jiao Yunlu looked ahead excitedly. Dongbua Shuang also looked ahead carefully. In the boundless starry sky, there was a huge mountain shrouded in black fog. The mountain was majestic and seemed to be the center of this world. No, more accurately, it was the center of the entire Devil Mountain cosmos. Around the Primogenitor Devil Mountain, there were many asteroids revolving around it. Every one of these asteroids was glowing faintly. Clearly, there was an invisible array connecting all the asteroids in the surroundings. Let's go. Great Emperor Jiao Yun said coldly. He brought the 2 of them and instantly transformed into a beam of light, arcing through the sky and landing on one of the asteroids. There were some stone houses on the asteroids. At this moment, there was a gray-robed, black-scaled old man waiting respectfully on the surface of the asteroids. When Great Emperor Jiao Yun brought the 2 of them down, he immediately greeted respectfully. Monarch. In. Great Emperor Jiao Yun nodded. After which, he turned to Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang, this is officially. He will make the arrangements for you to challenge the paragons of the Primogenitor Devil Mountain. Thank you, Monarch, Dongbua Shuang said. At the same time, he turned to the gray-robed, black-scaled old man and bowed slightly. I will have to trouble rulery. The gray-robed, black-scaled old man revealed a smile. However, his face was ugly and malevolent. Even when he smiled, it was somewhat frightening. When he smiled, he revealed a mouthful of sharp teeth. I heard that Paragon Dongbua was able to defeat rulers. I am also very impressed. When you challenge the Primogenitor Devil Mountain, I am only helping to guide you. Whether you can win or not will depend on your own strength, Paragon Dongbua. Father, Brother Dongbua has only been in our Devil Mountain cosmos for a short period of time. He doesn't have sufficient experience fighting against experts of the various cultivation systems. Third Highness Jiao Yun hurriedly said. He wanted his father to help Dongbua Shuang. Great Emperor Jiao Yun glanced at his son. He was cold and aloof. However, his 3 children were the rare ones that he valued. As for letting his children fight, it was because deep down in his bones, he believed that the weak were prey to the strong. It didn't mean that he didn't value his children. Dongbua Shuang. Great Emperor Jiao Yun looked coldly at Dongbua Shuang. Speak. What do you need my help with? Dongbua Shuang was taken aback. This is the only time. You'd better grab this opportunity. Great Emperor Jiao Yun coldly said. He didn't care about a heaven-defying paragon. After all, so what if the paragon was a ruler? From true god to void god, this was a huge threshold, and this step was the hardest to break through. Moreover, Emperor Jiao Yun knew that once this epic ended, they would head to the 7-star oceanic sacred world to join the Primogenitor. Some true gods like the Third Highness still wanted to befriend Dongwu Shuang. As for Great Emperor Jiao Yun and the others, their vision was even further. They were too lazy to care about those who had not stepped into the void god level. But for the sake of his son, he was willing to give Dongwu Shuang a chance. Dongwu Shuang could feel the coldness of the other party, though he did not care about it. He immediately said, "This junior has something that I seek, just that I haven't been able to find it." For his hometown cosmos. For the final battle, it would decide the fate of countless beings. So what if the other party was cold? "Speak," Great Emperor Jiao Yun continued. "This junior has always wanted 2 items. One is the legendary blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect, and the other is the myriad catalog. I don't seek for the complete myriad catalog. The 3rd volume is sufficient," Dongwu Shuang said. At the same time, he looked at Great Emperor Jiao Yun. Great Emperor Jiao Yun frowned as he looked at Dongwu Shuang. He coldly said, "You are a paragon, and you want the blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect? Do you know what the thousand-eyed fire insect is?" "I don't." Dongwu Shuang shook his head. "You dare to ask if you don't know?" Great Emperor Jiao Yun sneered. The blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect was extremely precious. Even at his level, he viewed it with great importance. He had only seen records of it in the ancient records given to him by the primogenitor. Dongwu Shuang did not get angry. He listened obediently while sighing in his heart. It seemed like there was no hope of obtaining the blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect. He wondered why his master, Bloodblade, wanted it. "It is impossible for you to obtain the blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect. However, I can give you the complete myriad catalog," Great Emperor Jiao Yun calmly said. "Someone will send the myriad catalog over very soon. You can wait here. Luer, follow me." "Yes, father." His Highness Jiao Yun Lu did not dare to disobey. He could only look at Dongwu Shuang and transmit a message. "You will have to rely on yourself from now on. I am already very grateful to your Highness." Dongwu Shuang transmitted a message as well. He was very grateful. His teacher, the Bloodshed God Emperor, had entrusted him with these 2 matters, and judging from his teacher's tone at that time, they were extremely important. It was already not bad for him to complete one of them. After all, when he asked the Third Highness previously, the Third Highness had never heard of them. This void god Great Emperor Jiao Yun did know of these 2 items. However, it was clear that he did not have any hopes of obtaining the blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect. Nevertheless, he promised to give Shuang the complete copy of the myriad catalog. "Many thanks, monarch." Dongwu Shuang respectfully expressed his gratitude. Great Emperor Jiao Yun brought the Third Highness along before disappearing in a stream of light. That ruler officially chuckled. "Paragon Dongbo, I'll first tell you the simple rules if you wish to challenge the paragons within the primogenitor Devil Mountain." "Ruler official E, please speak," Dongwu Shuang said. "It's not that anyone can challenge. The 3 paragons within will accept the challenge. If that's the case, the 3 paragons within would not have the time to cultivate. They would have to deal with all sorts of challenges," ruler officially said. "To challenge, you have to first defeat a puppet at the entrance of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Defeating the puppet would mean that you have the right to challenge. To date, there are only 11 paragons who have defeated a puppet." Ruler officially smiled as he looked at Dongwu Shuang. "It's still very difficult. After defeating the puppet, Paragon Dongbo would have the right to challenge the 2nd and 3rd paragons of the primogenitor Devil Mountain," ruler officially said. "If you win, you would replace one of them. Their ranking would drop by 1, and the 4th would be expelled from the primogenitor Devil Mountain. If you win, you can continue to challenge the strongest paragon," ruler officially said. "If you win, you would become the strongest paragon and enter the inner layer of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. If you lose a challenge, you would have to wait for 1,000,000 years to challenge again." Ruler officially laughed. "Do you understand the rules?" "Understood." Dongwu Shuang nodded. "If you lost the challenge, you would have to wait for 1,000,000 years before you could challenge again. This was to prevent paragons from continuously challenging each other. 1,000,000 years wasn't a long time, but it wasn't short either. It wouldn't affect his cultivation too much. The myriad catalog should be sent over soon. How about this? You can rest here for a day and enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain tomorrow. What do you think? Ruler officially asked. All right. Dongbu Shuang nodded. He had already waited for 30,000,000 years. He wasn't in a hurry to rest for a day. Ruler officially smiled faintly. He transformed into a beam of light and flew towards the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Clearly, he was someone who had the right to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Dongbu Shuang turned and casually chose a stone house. There were arrays circulating within the stone house. It was clean and tidy. It was unknown which expert had left it behind. Dongbu Shuang sat down cross-legged and waited silently. Time passed. After about 2 hours, a pleasant voice came from outside. Paragon Dongbo! Dongbu Shuang hurriedly walked out. A purple-scaled woman with a tail and a pretty face smiled. Paragon Dongbo, I'm here on the orders of the Empyrean Emperor to deliver the myriad catalog. As she spoke, she took out a circular golden plate and handed it to Dongbu Shuang. Dongbu Shuang received it. He was delighted and said, Thank you, ruler. That great Emperor Jiao Yun only controlled rulers. It's a small matter. The woman smiled. She turned and transformed into a beam of light as she flew out of the meteorite. Following which, she teleported through space-time and disappeared. Dongbu Shuang lowered his head and looked at the myriad catalog in his hands. He sensed the vast amount of information within. The information surged into his brain in large amounts. It only stopped after the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Although there was still a lot of information within the myriad catalog, he couldn't accept any more. There was a mysterious array restricting him. If he didn't break it, he wouldn't be able to continue reading. This isn't the laws and profound mysteries system. It's the witchcraft system that studies all things? Dongbu Shuang muttered to himself. Dongbu Shuang now understood many systems. In terms of profundity, he felt that the witchcraft system was the only one that could be compared to the laws and profound mysteries system. What does Master need this for? Dongbu Shuang pondered for a moment, and didn't think too much about it. South. A figure descended from afar. It was the red-robed Dongbu Shuang. It was a new avatar that he had cultivated. With the help of his master's avatar art, Dongbu Shuang now had 3 bodies. The black-robed Dongbu Shuang passed the circular golden plate to the red-robed Dongbu Shuang. South. The red-robed Dongbu Shuang rapidly left. Following which, he executed the void evasion technique and rushed towards the cosmos passageway that he came from. He was prepared to return to his homeworld and give this treasure to his master, Bloodblade. Since it was important to the war, it was naturally better to send it over as soon as possible. Chapter 762. Within the cultivator cosmos, within the wooden courtyard of the Bloodshed God Palace. The red-robed Dongbu Shuang walked in from outside the courtyard. Bloodblade, who had long sensed his arrival, looked at his disciple. Snow Eagle, this avatar of yours rushed back from the Devil Mountain cosmos. Unless you have some gains? Amen. The red-robed Dongbu Shuang nodded. I was fortunate to meet one of the void gods from the Devil Mountain cosmos. Because of the Third Highness, I had to ask him for help. The blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect has no hope at all. But he did give me the complete copy of the myriad catalog. Saying that, he flipped his hand and brought out a circular golden plate to his teacher. The eyes of Bloodblade brightened. He looked at this circular golden plate with slight excitement. He extended his hand and sensed it before revealing a joyous look. Large amounts of information surged into his mind. Only after a few breaths of time did he regain his senses. Good. Bloodblade was always proud and aloof. At this moment, he was filled with joy. He looked at the circular golden plate in his hand with a blazing gaze. He had desired for too long. There were 2 treasures he desired the most. One was the thousand-eyed firebug's essence blood, and the other was the myriad catalog. This was because he knew that the Devil Mountain cosmos was much stronger and had an extraordinary background. They had conquered 8 cosmoses. They also had connections with several other cosmoses. That was why he asked his disciple for help. He was not too clear how precious the blood essence of the thousand-eyed fire insect was. After all, he had only discovered a simple record of it in the inheritance. But he understood much more about the myriad catalog. He was the #1 refiner in the cultivator cosmos, and the #1 in arrays. That was because he had obtained the first and second volumes of the myriad catalog, and had extraordinary accomplishments. That's right. These 2 treasures were meant to increase his strength. Because after touching the threshold of the Void God realm, his strength had greatly increased. He could fight 1 against 5, injuring the 5 religious leaders of the ancestor mother religion. One could see how powerful he was now. Thus, the stronger he was, the greater the help he could provide, if he could break through to the Void God realm. Then he could announce that he had won this war. Snow Eagle, I've wanted this all-creation catalog for too long. I never expected you to help me find it. Bloodblade smiled at Dongwu Shuiying. Fortunately, the Temporal Island Lord had discovered the universe passageway. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to enter the Demon Mountain cosmos. Dongwu Shuiying said. It's all luck. Without your strength, I wouldn't have been able to do all this. Bloodblade nodded. You have to be careful there. Are you heading to the primogenitor Devil Mountain now? Yes. Dongwu Shuiying nodded. Be careful. Bloodblade reminded again. He didn't want his disciple to die in the Devil Mountain cosmos. Dongwu Shuiying nodded his head. At the center of the Devil Mountain cosmos, within the primogenitor Devil Mountain, in the outer 32 cavern dwellings located at the 32 corners of the primogenitor Devil Mountain, there was a white-haired girl sitting by the entrance of one of the cavern dwellings drinking wine by herself. Her expression was gloomy, and her eyes were flashing with cold light. Dongwu Shuiying? Where did this paragon come from? I have never heard of him before. He seems to be from some foreign cosmos, yet he could actually defeat Red Devil God Emperor? A paragon defeated a ruler? The white-haired girl muttered. Her voice was filled with coldness. Now that he wants to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain, he will most likely challenge me very soon. She was ranked 3rd amongst the 3 paragons of the primogenitor Devil Mountain, Paragon Snow Goddess. She was cold and arrogant, and she was powerful. For the sake of becoming stronger, she would not stoop to any means. She had paid a huge price to be able to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain as she was ranked 3rd. And now that Dongwu Shuiying was about to arrive, it was as if dark clouds were looming over her, causing her to feel an unseen pressure. After all, Dongwu Shuiying was different from those challengers in the past. He had defeated Red Devil God Emperor before. No, I have paid so much to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain. This is my territory, and I will not allow others to snatch it away. The white-haired girl was anxious and furious, yet she was helpless. Because the rules of the primogenitor Devil Mountain were strict, and nobody dared to play any tricks. Go and take a look. That Dongwu Shuiying has entered the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Report to me the moment there are any movements. The white-haired girl looked at an old servant by her side. This servant was a puppet life form. Other than the Void Gods, the 39 rulers, and the 3 paragons, there were no other living beings in the primogenitor Devil Mountain. They were all puppets. Yes, master. The old servant respectfully acknowledged. He immediately rushed to the entrance of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. The white-haired girl held on to her wine cup. She could not help but crush the wine cup in her hand into powder. She gritted her teeth. Nobody should think of snatching it away. Nobody. Dongwu Shuiying left the meteorite under the lead of ruler official E. They flew towards the entrance of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. The 2 of them descended and landed at the entrance. There was a huge platform at the entrance. Deep within the platform was another entrance. Beside the entrance were two black characters, Devil Mountain. The pressure formed by these two huge characters caused Donghua Shuiying's heart to feel stifled. He muttered inwardly, could these two characters be left behind by the legendary primogenitor? Just these two characters could form such a pressure. How powerful was that person? Ho! Another brat? Two voices sounded at the same time. One could see two cavern dwellings on both sides of the entrance. A huge monstrous puppet walked out from one of the cavern dwellings. This monstrous puppet looked like a gorilla with two long arms. However, there were two huge curved horns on its head, and its entire body was refined from a strange metal. The one who walked out of the other cave dwelling was a seemingly ordinary old woman with a walking stick. Greetings, Mountain Protector. Ruler official Yi slightly bowed. Donghua Shuiying immediately bowed as well. So this is the paragon Donghua Shuiying you mentioned was preparing to challenge you. The old granny looked at Donghua Shuiying. Yes. Ruler official Yi replied. Let's go. The old granny and the monstrous puppet walked towards the side, with Donghua Shuiying and ruler official Yi following behind them. Not too far away from the entrance, there was a lake. After the old granny and the monstrous puppet walked over, the old granny picked up her walking stick and stirred the water in the lake. With a casual wave, she caused a stream of water to fly up into the air, quickly transforming into a silvery white soldier. He landed on the ground, a confused look in his eyes. This is a newborn golem. It's rather stupid, the old granny said casually. Although it's a sovereign golem, it isn't very proficient in combat. It's quite suitable for you paragons to test. A sovereign golem? Donghua Shuiying stared speechlessly at the lake. The lake was still, without a single ripple. But a single stream of water was able to form a sovereign golem? What sort of lake was this? Be careful, ruler officially said. Although he's just formed, he was formed from the waters of this devil lake. In the entire primogenitor Devil Mountain, based on what I know, this lake is the most unfathomably powerful. Even emperors aren't a match for it. No matter how immature it is, the little fellow it casually created with a stream of water is still extremely powerful. Understood. Donghua Shuiying nodded. Little kid. The old woman with the walking stick patted the silver-white soldier's shoulder and pointed at Shuiying. In a moment, listen to my instructions. When I tell you to act, you must use your full strength to kill him. At this moment, elsewhere on the primogenitor Devil Mountain, the white-haired woman's servants, as well as some bored sovereigns, were all watching the battle from afar. They had all heard that a newly risen sovereign named Donghua Shuiying had defeated the Red Devil God Emperor. He had a high chance of entering the primogenitor Devil Mountain. He's Donghua Shuiying? I've never heard of him before. I wonder which universe he came from. Some of these sovereigns were sitting in groups of 2 or 3, drinking and chatting as they watched the battle. Chapter 763. The rulers who were leisurely watching the battle on the primogenitor Devil Mountain were suddenly startled when they saw what was happening below. Donghua Shuiying grabbed the arms of the silvery white soldier. The soldier struggled with all his might. Wang. A terrifying energy rippled out in the surroundings, yet Donghua Shuiying's palms did not budge at all. He firmly grabbed onto the silvery white soldier. Ha! Donghua Shuiying exerted his strength. He grabbed onto the arms of the other party and pulled them apart. Hong! The entire body of the silvery white soldier shattered. It turned into a stream of water and flew back into that calm lake. That lake did not have a single ripple. He won just like that? He actually relied on his strength to defeat the water puppet soldier? Just a single move? Some rulers even forgot to swallow the wine in their mouths. This scene was too shocking. Because they were clear of the strength of the water puppet soldier. In the past, only 11 paragons had defeated the water puppet soldier. What level of strength did he have to rely on just his strength to defeat it? In terms of strength, this brat should be stronger than me. A black-skinned old man with a long tail shook his head and sighed. We rulers aren't good at cultivating our bodies. We can't even compare to this brat. Just based on his strength, he has reached the ruler realm. If he has other formidable techniques, he would be even more amazing. I think he might be able to threaten that number 1 paragon. He indeed has a chance of threatening the number 1 paragon, Lai Yang. The rulers gave their evaluations. They were all rulers who could enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain and were ranked in the top 39. All of them had extraordinary techniques. Even if their bodies were weaker than Dongbu Shuiying, they were still able to look down on Dongbu Shuiying. Just like the cultivator Cosmos, Primal Master, Purgatory Ruler, and Pangyi all cultivated the laws and profound mysteries system. Their bodies might not be as strong as the current Dongbu Shuiying, but their combat power was much higher. You've won. The old woman guarding the mountain looked at Shuiying in astonishment. Your strength isn't small at all. Dongbu Shuiying chuckled. In terms of strength, he was comparable to the new religious leader from the ancestor mother religion. If he could not suppress a water puppet soldier with his strength, then this trial would be too difficult. Let me ask you, which supremacy do you want to challenge? The mountain guardian asked. You are now qualified to challenge the 2nd and 3rd supremacy. The 3rd venerable, Dongbu Shuiying said. Regardless of whether it was the 2nd reverend or the 3rd reverend, if he won, he would only be able to enter the outer layer of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. In that case, he might as well challenge the 3rd sovereign, who had a greater chance of winning. After all, the first 2 sovereigns had defeated sovereigns before, but the 3rd sovereign had never done so. All right, the 3rd exalted will be here soon. The old woman guarding the mountain nodded. She looked at the burly monstrous puppet beside her. The monstrous puppet nodded and suddenly stomped on the ground. He soared into the sky and flew towards one of the corners of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. On the primogenitor Devil Mountain, the white-haired girl was currently sitting there drinking wine uneasily. She did not even go to watch the battle personally. I have spent so much effort to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain, and now, a paragon who can defeat sovereigns has appeared? The white-haired girl, Paragon Snow Goddess, was filled with unease. Hom! The monstrous puppet descended abruptly. It looked at the white-haired girl and said with a majestic voice, Snow Goddess, there is a paragon challenging you. Go down and accept the challenge. The white-haired girl's body trembled slightly. Her eyes turned cold. Finally, it has come. It won't be that easy to defeat me. South. An old servant flew over and reported. Master, that Dongbu Shuiying has won. The white-haired girl glanced at the servant. She did not say anything because she understood that if she lost, this puppet would no longer be her servant. Instead, it would become the servant of that Dongbu Shuiying. Thinking of this, the white-haired girl's eyes turned even colder. She had to win this battle. Go! The monstrous puppet shouted. Go! The white-haired girl stood up. Together with the monstrous puppet, they transformed into streams of light and flew towards the entrance of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Eh? Dongbu Shuiying raised his head and saw 2 figures descending from the sky. Other than the monstrous puppet, the other was a white-haired girl who emitted an ice-cold aura. The old granny who was guarding the mountain smiled faintly as she smashed her walking stick on the ground. Rumble suddenly, an ancient battle platform appeared on the ground. The battle platform was engraved with densely packed vein patterns. Light flowed within the vein patterns, and a huge black magic array appeared in the air around it. The black array was filled with layers of energy, completely enveloping the entire battle stage. The rules are simple, the old granny said. The 2 of you will fight for a period of time. If a victor cannot be decided, the array of the battle stage will be filled with danger. The one who dies first will be the loser. The one who survives will be the victor. Do you understand? The old granny's turbid eyes swept across Dongbu Shuiying and the white-haired girl. Understood. Dongbu Shuiying nodded. The white-haired girl also acknowledged. Very good. Let's begin on the battle stage, the old granny instructed. The white-haired girl flew towards the battle stage. Although there were layers of arrays around the battle stage, they didn't obstruct her. She landed on the stage. Dongbua Shuang also flew over. He looked at the opponent in front of him seriously. Previously, Jiao Yunlu and ruler Yichen had told him about the 3 paragons in the primogenitor Devil Mountain. The one in front of him was called Paragon Snow Goddess. She was extremely difficult to deal with and could fight against rulers. Strictly speaking, she should be comparable to Monarch Green, who had yet to break through. Perhaps she was slightly weaker. After all, the battles in the Cultivator universe were more mysterious and unpredictable. Their average combat strength was slightly higher. I heard that you can defeat rulers. The white-haired girl, Paragon Snow Goddess' voice reverberated throughout the battle stage. Can you defeat me? Her voice was still reverberating in the air. Ice crystals started to form on the surface of the white-haired girl's body. Each ice crystal was in the shape of a dodecagon. Under the illumination of the primogenitor Devil Mountain and the starry sky, the ice crystals started to emit colorful light. Countless ice crystals formed into a huge statue. The white-haired girl had completely transformed into a statue. Originally, she was only about 2 meters tall. Now, with the countless ice crystals, she was almost 3 meters tall. She stood there motionlessly. Dongbua Shuang was stunned. What does this mean? She turned into a statue and didn't move at all? Boom! Dongbua Shuang wielded his silver spear and tried to brandish it. The spear arced through the sky. The spear's shaft was slightly curved. A ruler's strength was imbued into the spear's shaft. The strength flowed along the spear's shaft to the spearhead. Ping! Suddenly, the spear struck the statue. This ice crystal statue was directly sent flying, smashing into the black array surrounding the battle stage. At this moment, the black array actually blocked the ice statue. The ice statue bounced back onto the battle stage, rolling for a long distance before coming to a stop. Dongbua Shuang looked at this scene in astonishment. Allowing him to attack her? Ha ha ha, this Paragon Snow Goddess is really shameless. The rulers watching the battle on the primogenitor Devil Mountain couldn't help but laugh. She knows that she can't win against Dongbua Shuang in terms of offense. She is afraid that she might lose her life. Hence, from the start, she used all her strength to defend herself. Her choice is reasonable. Her body's defense is extremely strong. As long as Dongbua Shuang can't kill her, the battle stage will soon be filled with all sorts of dangers. She is also very good at defending herself. As long as Dongbua Shuang dies first, she will win. The rulers laughed as they discussed. This was indeed a strategy that had a higher chance of winning. However, it was also very embarrassing. Chapter 764. His Highness Jiao Yunlu was dressed in a luxurious golden robe. When he arrived, ruler official Yi greeted politely. Your Highness. He was stronger than the Third Highness. But now that the Third Highness had stepped into the ruler realm and had the backing of Emperor Jiao Yun, he naturally couldn't be treated as an ordinary ruler. His Highness Jiao Yunlu nodded and laughed. At the same time, he observed the battle carefully. He said in surprise, Paragon Snow Goddess has turned into a statue. Is she going to take it head-on? From the looks of it, Paragon Snow Goddess is indeed planning to do so. Ruler officially smiled. However, when he smiled, his old face was truly frightening. Paragon Snow Goddess has been cultivating in the primogenitor Devil Mountain for a period of time. Her strength has increased. Now that she has turned into a statue, she is doing her best to protect herself. It will be extremely difficult to injure her. If Dongbua Shuang can't break through, he will likely lose. On the stage, Dongbua Shuang was already executing his spear arts, attacking the statue. Boom, 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 the statue was sent flying everywhere, smashing into the stage and the surrounding black spirit design. However, the ice statue was not damaged at all. The 12-sided ice crystals on its surface were still reflecting light. Likely to lose? You are wrong about that. His Highness Jiao Yunlu watched and shook his head. You didn't see the battle between Brother Dongbua and the Red Devil God Emperor. Although the outside world is saying that Brother Dongbua defeated the Red Devil God Emperor, there are very few who know the details of the battle. Oh? Ruler official Yi looked at Jiao Yunlu in surprise. Back then, the Red Devil God Emperor also used an extremely powerful defensive technique. But what happened in the end? Jiao Yunlu chuckled. He could still remember clearly how Red Devil God Emperor had become much stronger after using his ultimate move. The surface of his body was covered with a layer of frost armor, and his defense was extremely formidable. In the end, he was still heavily injured by Brother Dongbo's spear. Brother Dongbo's attacks are extremely terrifying. Is that so? Ruler official Yi was in disbelief. From his point of view, Paragon Snow Goddess's defense was already very strong. What he didn't know was that the Red Devil God Emperor's survivability was even stronger. He's here. His Highness Jiao Yunlu's eyes lit up. He saw a layer of black light appear on Dongbo Shuiying's spear. It was this layer of black light that heavily injured the Red Devil God Emperor. Hua! The spear had pierced out furiously, but its trajectory was strange. There was even a circle of blood-colored ripples around the spearhead. Clearly, other than the layer of terminus energy, Dongbo Shuiying had also fused the Tao of Slaughter and Tao of Wave into his spear arts. Ever since he comprehended the slaughter domain, Dongbo Shuiying had come up with many ways to combine these two Taos. Pooh! The spear pierced into the ice sculpture. The terminus energy revolved around the surface of the spear, causing its sharpness to explosively increase. It forcefully pierced through the sculpture, and after piercing into its interior, a terrifying blood-colored ripple spread outwards. Pung! The entire sculpture exploded, and countless fragments were destroyed in midair. Only a few of them remained, forming the white-haired woman, Paragon Snow Goddess. Paragon Snow Goddess looked at Dongbo Shuiying with a look of disbelief and helplessness. Facing Dongbo Shuiying's onslaught, she hurriedly transmitted a message to the surrounding void. I admit defeat! It was too late to speak slowly. She directly used the power within her body to transmit a voice through the void. Who? Dongbo Shuiying's spear suddenly stopped. A terrifying stream of air streaked across Paragon Snow Goddess's body like a sharp blade. If it was an ordinary stage 4 world deity, their body would have long since been pulverized. However, Paragon Snow Goddess was still in existence who could fight against rulers. She might not be able to withstand Dongbo Shuiying's all-out attack that contained the terminus energy, but just the stream of air alone was not enough to injure her in the slightest. Admirable! I never thought that you would actually be able to break through my undying sage sculpture, Paragon Snow Goddess said coldly. I'm afraid that with your strength, you might even be able to threaten that monster, Lai Yang. I really wonder how the battle between the two of you will be like. After saying that, Paragon Snow Goddess transformed into a stream of light and flew away. Because she had lost. Naturally, she did not have the qualifications to enter the primogenitor Devil Mountain again. Dongbo Shuiying had replaced her, becoming the third paragon. Ha ha ha, Brother Dongbo, congratulations! His Highness Jiao Yunlu laughed. I haven't even entered the primogenitor Devil Mountain, but you've already entered before me. Dongbo Shuiying walked down the stage and looked at His Highness Jiao Yunlu. He laughed. Your Highness, please don't make fun of me. Your Highness is already a ruler, and I'm just a paragon. It's not easy to take this step. It might not be easy for other paragons, but it's different for you, His Highness Jiao Yunlu said. Dongbo Shuiying chatted with His Highness Jiao Yunlu for a while before he entered the primogenitor Devil Mountain under the guidance of an old puppet servant. Jiao Yunlu was temporarily unable to enter. Primogenitor Devil Mountain. Dongbo Shuiying walked on this ancient Devil Mountain, which was surrounded by black fog. For some unknown reason, he felt much more relaxed as he walked on the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Even his bones felt slightly itchy. It was extremely comfortable, causing Dongbo Shuiying to involuntarily smile. He understood that this was definitely because of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Otherwise, how could someone at his level be so easily affected by the environment? The old puppet servant led the way. He pointed to an indistinct cave dwelling at the end of the rugged path. Master, the cave dwelling is just ahead. That's my cave dwelling? Dongbo Shuiying nodded. Yes, it's Master's cave dwelling. Without Master's permission, no one can barge in. Furthermore, the cave dwelling is located at the base of the primogenitor Devil Mountains array. Cultivating there will be great benefits, the old puppet servant said. Master will know once you enter. Amen. Very soon, they arrived at the cave dwelling. This ancient cave dwelling was rather plain, but it still occupied a few square kilometers. After all, it was a place where paragons cultivated. It was extremely luxurious, and it was normal to treat a land of 1,000,000,000,000 square kilometers as one's backyard. He pushed the door open. Creak. The door was made of wood. The wood was pitch black, and it was impossible to tell what material it was made of. Just as he stepped over the door, a green aura that could be seen by the naked eye gushed towards him. Taking a deep breath, his entire body turned cold, and his mind became blank. In an instant, his comprehension and thinking speed increased tremendously. It was as though he had consumed a rare treasure. Even rulers desired such a precious cultivation ground. Naturally, it would be of great help to paragons. The higher one's potential was, the faster they would be able to cultivate in a good environment. Great! Dongbush Shuang couldn't help but praise. He had been in the cultivator cosmos for so long, but he had never entered such a precious cultivation ground. There are some precious cultivation manuals stored on the primogenitor Devil Mountain, the puppet servant said. They were left behind by the primogenitor and are extremely precious. You can learn them, but you cannot take them away from the primogenitor Devil Mountain. Oh? Dongbush Shuang was astonished. Master, feel free to experience the benefits of this cave dwelling, the puppet servant said. If there's nothing else, this old servant shall take his leave. Dongbush Shuang asked. Are the inner and core layers of the primogenitor Devil Mountain much better? They are completely different and mystical, the puppet servant said. The inner layer far surpasses the outer layer, and the core layer is even more unimaginable. Dongbush Shuang nodded. There's one more thing. I wish to challenge the number 1 paragon. Challenge the number 1 paragon? The puppet servant was startled. All right. Master, please wait for a moment. I will go and pass the message. The puppet servant hurriedly left. Dongbush Shuang started to inspect the cave dwelling in detail. With a single look, he discovered the wonders of the cave dwelling. The different areas within the cave dwelling had different auras, and they were suitable for experts who cultivated in different systems. Dongbush Shuang found different areas suitable for the Tao of Slaughter, Tao of Ripples, and Tao of Mirage. As for the Void Walker system, it didn't have any requirements for the environment. After a short while, the puppet servant returned and came to report. Master, the puppet servant said respectfully. Have you decided on the time? Dongbush Shuang asked. The number 1 paragon Lai Yang is currently in seclusion, and is unable to accept the challenge, the puppet servant said. Dongbush Shuang was astonished. He is in seclusion, and is unable to accept the challenge? If he is in seclusion, I won't be able to challenge him. There is a huge difference between the inner and outer layers of the primogenitor Devil Mountain. In the future, when Master enters, you will know that the seclusion in the inner layer is a special form of cultivation. During the process of cultivation, one is unable to accept the challenge. However, once the seclusion ends, Paragon Lai Yang will no longer be able to escape, the puppet servant said. How long will it take? Dongbush Shuang asked. I heard that Paragon Lai Yang has already been in seclusion for over 500,000 years. I estimate that he might come out at any time, or at most 10 million years, the puppet servant said. So long? Dongbush Shuang was slightly helpless. Let's wait. The time flow in the Devil Mountain cosmos was much faster than his hometown. Even 10 million years was equivalent to a few thousand years in his hometown. The war shouldn't be that fast. He could make use of this time to cultivate properly. You can leave first, Dongbush Shuang instructed. Yes, Master can instruct me any time. The puppet servant walked out of the cave dwelling. The door of the cave dwelling closed with a creak. Dongbush Shuang also started his cultivation on the primogenitor Devil Mountain.